Welcome, friends, it's the MovieFilm Podcast. MovieFilm Podcast, enjoy the show. Zachy and Brian are talking about the movies. MovieFilm Podcast on the radio.
Welcome to MovieFilm. We are back. I am Zachy Hassan.
I'm Brian Hall.
It has been a minute, hasn't it?
It has, and it feels so good to be reunited.
We have recorded a couple episodes in the interim, but in our last regular episode, Thor: Love and Thunder had just dropped, and it was a different world. It was a different world than a month ago.
It was.
Empires have risen and fallen in the interim.
That's right. Well, you went on a trip.
I did a trip of mind and body. Actually, just body. It was physically. I went to the Midwest. I went to our old haunt. Brian, in ye old Chicagoland.
Yeah. How was it?
Oh, it was everything I expected, but also everything I hoped. Does that make sense?
Definitely, yeah.
So yeah, we had to we had a wedding. My wife's niece got married in Michigan. So I said, hey, why don't we fly into Chicago and then we can drive to Michigan and then do the wedding thing and then come back and spend a couple days in Chicago and do the whole thing. We did indeed do that. However, I naively thought, hey, a 4-hour drive to and from Michigan, I'm sure the kids will be just fine. They'll probably sleep off most of that time, and the rest of it, when they're awake, they will sit in quiet contemplation. That was my That was my assumption. It turned out not to be the case. It was just absolute goddamn pandemonium.
Really,
for 8 hours.
Yeah. What? Actually, no. I gotta know. What does that involve? I mean, is that just sort of he's on my side of the car seat? I want to watch this.
Think about it. We're in a van that seats 7, and it is seating 7.
Sure.
So there's very little wiggle room, literally. And so yeah, it's just a lot of he's on my side, she's on my side, he touched me, she, and I to be fair, I did not lose my shit completely.
That's congratulations.
I call that progress on my part. I was in my Zen spaces. I was just focusing. I was listening to Phil Collins on my phone. Phil was guiding me. But that was an experience. Oh, and actually, first of all, I should mention while in Chicago, I didn't get a chance to see nearly as many people as I would have liked, but I got to have breakfast with Chris Ashline, who listens to the show. Hi, Chris. Yeah. I got to have coffee with Adam Lance Hendrickson, who also listens to the show. Oh, and I got to hang out with my cousin Fawaz, who also listens to the show. So this show brings people together.
That's awesome.
And I'm grateful for all those experiences, and I hope you guys had a good time. I certainly did. But that said, happy to be back. All my kids are in school, and this is the first time in 15 years. First time in 15 years. No kids in the house.
So what's that like?
The calm is eerie.
Right.
But enjoyable.
Nice. Good.
I think my wife is enjoying it more than me because she drops the kids off and then she comes back. And for those of you listening who are outside of California, there's no school buses in California. Which is, so it's a pain in the ass because you have to drop your kids off. So she comes back, and for the first time, she's like, I'm going to go back to sleep.
That's fantastic.
And she's like, I don't know what that's like,
Right.
So that's been nice. I as we record this, I have 4 days left of my summer vacation. So I'm just enjoying it as best I can.
Soak it up.
I will say this though, this was our very first family trip ever. The whole clown car, everybody. And going to Chicago with certainly my older 2 kids were at a point where they're really they're wanting to see like movie locations and things like that. And we didn't get to do nearly as much of that as I would have liked. Like I wanted to show the Hilton from The Fugitive, and I wanted to show Union Station and stuff. But we got to see a couple of those. It was fun. Like we took the boat tour off of Lakeshore Drive, and pointing out like, oh, that's from the Batman, and that's or not the Batman. That's from the Dark Knight, and that's from this, and that's we did like the ER walking tour. Like that's the point where remember when Carter and Benton said goodbye to each other? That's where that happened. And remember when Carter had that hot dog? That's where that happened.
Right.
It was a lot of that.
Dude, that's great. That's so funny that they're like informed enough in that show to be able to, Carter.
Yeah, it's literally like, remember when Dr. Green chased after, George Clooney, and he did that. Remember when they were playing basketball? That's where that was.
That's great.
So hopefully, my oldest, he was like, I want to come back. I want to do this next year. And I said, well, maybe just you and me, and maybe one more, but that's it.
Right.
That's my reaction. It's I say this all the time. I consider California my home. I mean, I've been in the Bay Area longer than I've been anywhere else, but there's just something about going back to Chicago. From the moment the plane lands, I just feel a specific kind of joy just being there.
I know exactly what you mean because I've been. I always say as of August, but it is August.
Yeah,
August 2022. I've been out in California for 20 years now.
Amazing.
Which is insane. I can't even wrap my head around that. But just like you, when I go back home to the Chicagoland area, I mean, it's just the air is different. I mean, probably quite literally, but you know what I mean? It's just, it feels different. The nighttime feels different, and it's still very cozy to me.
Yeah.
Well, I will mention that I am in New York. So if I sound different, it was because, packing for this trip, knowing that I was going to record probably twice out here, made me realize that I really need to streamline my production and post-production process for this show. Because this is going to sound insane, but I actually used 3 laptops to pull this show off. Actually, wait, no, that's not true. I used 2. But the thing is I have this microphone that I love, but it uses this USB cable, which the newer laptops don't have. So I have to use this older one that still has a USB thing. But my editing software is on a very old computer that's so out of date that it won't even connect to web pages from time to time. So
Good
it's
Lord.
like I toggle between those 2 older computers, between recording, capturing trailers, those sorts of things, putting them onto the other old brick, with a screen on it that I use to edit, and then moving them back. And what I really only packed this time was my actual new computer that I use for work and life and everything. And so I was like, oh, shoot. So I'm actually recording with earbuds.
Wow.
So I'm sure it doesn't sound as good as normal, but hopefully it's not too bad.
Well, if in the middle of our recording you're just like, hey, I'm walking here, we'll chalk it up to you being in New York, just the New York of it all.
Hey, what's the matter? Yeah, that'd be hilarious. That would be so great. I just add those anyway.
So what have you seen, Brian?
I'll breeze through a lot of these, but actually, I didn't even write this one down. But I saw Elvis. Have you seen?
I have not seen it yet.
Okay, I will just mention that I really, really enjoyed it. I feel like I'm not seeing it spoken about a lot, but looking at the box office, it seems to be doing pretty well.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting, and my parents were going to go see it, and I was wondering what they're going to think because. It's not, you and I talked about the whole Dewey Coxification of music, musical biopics. And I think this movie gets to sort of blast past that because it's a Baz Luhrmann movie. And when I say blast past it, I mean, the beginning is just visual audio, not chaos. It's organized, but it's just bombastic. And the way I described it with Federica was, it felt like you were strapped onto a rocket and you're like, whoa, and you're like blasted into this other sort of tempo and tone and mood. And then it sort of settles once you're accustomed to it. And I guess like a lot of his movies do that. But I really enjoyed Elvis a lot. And I think Austin Butler is his name, right?
Yeah.
He's amazing. I mean, truly becomes Elvis.
It's interesting because at a glance, he doesn't particularly look like Elvis.
It's so weird. You never quite know sometimes with movies because you see them in the film and you go, whoa, that is Elvis. And then you see, some sort of premiere picture of him and you're like, oh, yeah, I kind of see it. And it's like, they'll do these little prosthetics just like to change their eyebrows or like they'll do one little tweak and it sort of brings it all into focus. I wonder if that's kind of the case with him.
That's interesting. I saw just randomly. I saw two films recently about Richard Nixon. I saw Nixon and Frost Nixon.
Right.
And I'm like, Anthony Hopkins, who's in Nixon, and Frank Langella, who's in Frost Nixon, neither of them looks like Richard Nixon.
Right.
But you do sort of forget that while you're watching.
Yeah. They sort of embody the spirit or something, and then you just sort of calibrate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if it's a little bit of that with Austin Butler.
That reminds me of Taron Killam, right, on SNL, when he would do Brad Pitt.
Yes, right, yeah.
He didn't look anything like Brad Pitt. At the same time, I was like, wow, I think that's the first impression of Brad Pitt I've ever seen that I kind of get. Like that, right?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, yeah.
Yeah, he sort of embodied the spirit of him, and you're like, oh, yeah, wow.
And doesn't that feel like that was probably like his SNL audition?
Yeah, maybe, yeah, because
right?
I've never seen that before.
It's such a weirdly specific thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Austin Butler, by the way, he's going to play the Sting role in Dune Part 2.
I can see that.
Yeah.
All right, continuing to plow. Wow, there's so much I didn't even write down. The Bear, I'll just throw that out real quick, on Hulu. Show about working in a kitchen of an Italian beef place in Chicago.
Well, this one you did talk about, I think.
Oh, I did talk about. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's so good. Anyway, I'm still thinking about it. So it's very, very stressful. But Uncut Gems in a Kitchen, I think, is what we said. But so this was one that I kind of wasn't keeping tabs on, but Federico was really into it. And I'm so glad we saw it. It was Marcel the Shell with Shoes On.
Yeah. I've been hearing about this.
Have you seen the YouTube videos of this?
I all I've seen is the trailer for the film.
Okay, so these were like YouTube videos that Jenny Slate and her ex-husband Dean Fleischer Camp did together, and it's just her doing this cute little voice to this claymation style shell with like one little blinking eye, and it's adorable. And the whole thing is sort of the shell has these unique takes on everything because obviously the shell's perspective is very, very different than ours. And so we went to go see this film, and I was kind of curious what a whole film of this would be like. And it was absolutely delightful. Like just the most cutest, most charming little film. And I think almost anybody could enjoy this.
This is another A24 movie, right?
Yeah. And well, I say anybody, and it's rated PG. It's very, very sweet and gentle movie. I'd be very curious if it would hold your daughter's attention or not, because it is very thoughtful. And a lot of observations about things versus a lot of action actually happening. But it's just so charming and sweet. And we both walked out of that just totally delighted. So I thought that was worth mentioning.
There you go.
I have to call out Better Call Saul wrapped up a series finale. And so that was, a long time coming, just as with many things with the pandemic. But we knew that this was going to be the final season, and man, what a show. I mean, I don't know what is left to be said about it unless people were already watching it, but it was one of those things when it started and you're like, really? Like a sequel to Breaking Bad? Do we really want to do this? And I think over time, I've told people if they're going to get into it, the first season, I feel like it was finding its own voice. How to exist within the Breaking Bad universe, but be its own thing and not be tethered or trying to, be like, well, Breaking Bad was like this and Saul was like this. And like, it just finally kind of found itself and became its own thing. And so compelling, so artfully written and directed. And for people who just love those shows that just feel like novels, where there's just so much patience and attention to detail and, just so dense and rich. I mean, this was that show. And I honestly, as it ended, I love the finale. I saw some people were kind of split on it, but I love the finale, and I'm definitely going to miss this show. It's going to, like, the certain whatever itch it was that it scratched. It's so few and far between when a show can scratch that particular itch. And this was that show. So I'm thankful that it happened and sorry to see it go.
So this is a question that I got on Twitter from J. Stephen J. He asked, with Better Call Saul slated to wrap up, I'm interested in what your opinions are in regard to the viewing order preference between Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad. Do you feel the superior viewing order is to watch them in order as they were made, or do you feel that Better Call Saul makes a more ideal viewing order leading into Breaking Bad. Now, I personally, I still need to watch all of Better Call Saul, but my sense is Breaking Bad is probably the one you want to start with. But I'm curious what you think.
I would think so. And this might not be the perfect analogy because some people could disagree. But with the Star Wars original trilogy and the prequels, I know that the prequels come first, but I still feel like the way that they were made, some of the things in the prequels or reveals that happen in the trilogy aren't reveals anymore due to the prequels, just by nature of the order that they were filmed in, right?
Yeah.
In real time.
Yeah.
And so, like, I didn't mind those almost being like flashbacks with little Easter eggs or, oh, yeah, that reminds me of the thing that's going to happen up ahead. And that fills in some context for that. So again, people might disagree with the Star Wars comparison, but I think likewise with this, I think Breaking Bad is the jump into that universe and the major event that everything orbits around. And in Better Call Saul, you get some time before, you get some time during, and you get some time after. Right. And so I think being familiar with what you're orbiting around, actually now I think about it even more, when you get into the future, I mean, there's things that happen you would have no idea the significance of.
It takes us past the end of Breaking Bad, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I think, I mean, my definitive answer would be Breaking Bad first and then Better Call Saul.
What about El Camino? Where do you sneak that one
in? That could go either, honestly. That could be fine after Better Call Saul, I think. But I would say why not go in. Oh, actually, well, the show did start, right? And then it came in the middle of that.
Yes.
I think it could go either. Honestly, not before Breaking Bad, certainly, because it's a conclusion. But
I'm sure someone is going to put together like the ultimate chronology kind of deal, you know, like watch
the timeline.
Yeah, like watch Better Call Saul this episode to this episode, then Breaking Bad. You know, somebody will do that. I'm sure. You know.
Yeah, but I think it would mess up the threads, you know, that are laid out in each show, and just kind of probably be choppy.
Well, one thing I always say about these things, and I can't speak to this in particular, but certainly like with Star Wars, what I always say is the first time you should do it in release order.
Yeah.
After that, experiment with it. You know, watch it chronological. Sure. But I think your first, and again, this is my bias.
Yeah.
I think that your first one's first exposure to the Star Wars universe should be that Star Destroyer going over your head. That should be how the whole thing starts.
I agree. I mean, like I said, with the whole Yoda introductions and things like that, it just feels like I don't think it's such a bad thing to go back and then watch what happened before, as if that, you know, like that doesn't make it those stories less of an experience, right?
Yeah.
But we do have some texture that we can bring with us to that, and maybe it makes it even richer for it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But some people might disagree.
Apropos of nothing, I was watching an episode of Murder, She Wrote the other day.
Really?
I occasionally do that.
Yeah.
And it was one of these nested spin-offs, like a backdoor pilot, you know?
Oh, funny. Okay.
And yeah, apparently there was a whole raft of like backdoor pilots in Murder, She Wrote, in one specific season of Murder, She Wrote.
Huh.
Because
was it like later when they thought that was going to wrap up? And
I think towards the middle of the run, to be honest, because it lasted like 12 years or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think Angela Lansbury was just like, I don't feel like doing 24 episodes or whatever it was, you know? Right, so they had a whole bunch of like wannabe Jessica Fletcher. So there was one anyway with Bill Maher.
Really?
As like a private eye.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of it felt like a Fletch riff a little bit.
Okay. Which I can kind of imagine, actually.
Yeah, well, you can Bill Maher doing that, you know, and in that sense, you know, both Chevy Chase and Bill Maher are different levels of insufferable, so that that kind of works. Anyway, the episode, it's smarmy.
Yeah, those two.
That episode had Bryan Cranston in a relatively small role where he's this guy who's sleeping with his cousin.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was just sort of watching that, and I was like, that guy is like one of the finest actors of his generation, and he doesn't even know it. Like,
yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah, that's so funny. Actually, on Instagram, I saw some like blooper from Seinfeld with him.
Yeah.
And all he's doing is giving a reaction to Jerry, like a well, kind of a thing. And it's like over and over and over, Jerry can't keep it together because like Cranston is just doing such a good job with this little subtle thing. And it's like, yeah, even then, like he had no idea that his career defining role was still ahead of him.
Yeah, that's something.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
Okay. I am so excited to talk about this show. I watched the show. Okay. We're fans of American Vandal on Netflix, right?
Yes.
Which is like a mockumentary series that feels sort of like true crime, right? And it's so ridiculous because it's about like who drew these penises everywhere at this school. So it's inherently ridiculous and silly, but they treat it so seriously, and the characters are so well cast and acted. I mean, it's almost like, how can they be actors? They're not winking. They're not going for jokes. They're just acting like real people, and that's why it's hilarious. So huge fan of those guys, whoever made those shows. And it turns out they have another show that I hadn't really heard anything about. It's called Players, and it's on Apple TV Plus. So this is like a riff on The Last Dance, the Bulls documentary. And it's this is the IMDb summary. It follows a League of Legends team looking to win its first championship after years. Actually, I'll quit it at that. But that's basically, it's so good, Zachy.
Yeah.
Like Federica and I were like, these guys are on fire. Like they just understand the medium, and they know how to cast this thing, and they know how to craft so many compelling characters that aren't punchlines. But
hey, Brian, real quick, Brian.
Yeah.
Is it Apple TV Plus or Paramount Plus?
Oh, forgive me. It is Paramount Plus. Yes.
Okay.
I don't know why I thought it was Apple, but yes, no, Paramount Plus. Because we just recently got that, and that was why we were finally able to watch it.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But yes, I can't. If you're a fan of American Vandal, I cannot recommend this enough. I think it is equally up there. We were actually shocked to see some of the reviews afterwards that people didn't like it as much. And some people were saying that it didn't have enough punchlines. And I was like, oh, so you didn't get it. Like, that's not the joke. Like, the joke is the truth, the truthfulness of it.
Right.
And that's fine. I understand that won't be for everybody, but that's for people that just gobbled up American Vandal and just loved what they were doing there. Again, the characters are so good, and they behave like human beings. Like there's ways where I expected them to go one way because that's what you would do to have a satisfying arc, and then they go other ways, and you're like, well, yeah, I guess that feels more like what that person would actually do, and it's frustrating, And it's, I mean, I think we tore through it in one day. It's like 9 episodes.
Wow.
Yeah. It was like we had like a lazy Sunday, and we started it, and it was like, well, let's just keep going. So, highly recommend Players. I'd be so curious if you check it out.
Well, I too have Paramount Plus, so I just may.
Perfect. I can't wait to I hope we get to talk about it. Okay, one more movie, and oh man, this is one I so wish I could talk about with you. So I saw Nope. And it's so funny because it feels like, I mean, it's only been like a month, but it feels like so long ago.
It feels like 18 years ago it came out.
Yeah. And this is Jordan Peele's latest movie. And what was so interesting about this movie was, when you go to the movies over and over and you have to watch the same trailers over. I mean, like Morbius was one. I was like, if I never see that again in my life. Dog was another one with Channing Tatum, which I was like, look, I'm sure this is a great movie, but like I've seen this like 10 times. I can't watch it again. But Nope. Every time that trailer came on, I turned to Federica and I was like, opening day. I was like, this is my jam. Like this dusty people on a farm, possibly UFOs. Like, the trailers were so ambiguous, you didn't quite know what was happening, but it looked like a UFO film, like possible, like modern Close Encounters on a ranch or something, right? And I was like, this could not be more of a Brian movie. I'm so excited for this. So, it's hard to talk about it because even though, without a spoiler, well, I don't want to ruin it because if people haven't seen it, I want them to go in the same way that I did with just trailer information. So all I'll say is this was really interesting. It's not quite the movie I expected, and I think it subverts in really clever and interesting ways. And the conclusion that my friend and my brother and I all had at the end was so close. So close.
Interesting. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, we all had the same thing. And my brother was like, if they had, and I agree with this, if they had sort of, it feels like the movie wanted to be sort of like, we don't need to explain everything. And so some things are going to happen and we're not going to explain this, or characters are going to be a certain way and we're not going to tell you why. And I can appreciate that sometimes if you don't need that information and there isn't, like Better Call Saul, frankly, like they let you lean in and you have to want to try to put the pieces together. But I think they give you enough, certainly enough with character to be able to understand what's going on. But I think with Nope, there were a couple of characters where it was like, I don't quite understand this person and the decisions they make. I don't know why that just happened. And my brother was like, if that stuff had just been filled in, masterpiece.
Okay.
And I was like, I think I agree. I think it is a collection of really solid moments and some real, if people still are interested in this, I say catch it in the theater because there's some solid spectacle going on and some really intriguing pieces, but they just didn't all come together to a wholly satisfying place for me, unfortunately. But it's enough of a satisfying visceral experience that I definitely want to like watch it again. You know what I mean? So that was kind of my takeaway. I wish it could be like a for all time kind of movie for me, but I think it's going to be one of those movies where I just think like, oh man, that was really pretty good. And when it's on cable, I'll probably stop on certain scenes and whatnot. And I'll definitely watch it again, but I wanted this to be like a new one to add to the Brian canon.
Okay.
So when you see it, I definitely, even though it's like maybe when it comes on streaming or something, I'd still think it'd be worth like a
I'll probably
discussion.
That'll be when I end up landing there.
Yeah. Well, then I'll mention two things that I know we both saw, so we can sort of talk about it, and I think they can kind of go together. But we watched Light and Magic, the ILM documentary on Disney Plus, and we both saw E.T. Re-released in IMAX.
That's right.
So I'll just say real quick about the E.T. experience. I mean, what more can I say about that movie? But the experience of the movie, you know, for those who don't know, that was the first movie I ever saw in theaters, and it's just sort of been with me my whole life, and close to my heart, I should say. And it was almost like, oh, well, we got to see it on IMAX, right? You know, like, okay, settle in. I know this movie. Let's do this. And I don't know about you, but seeing it on IMAX was like seeing it again for the first time.
No, I totally agree.
It was incredible for multiple reasons. And two things I just want to point out. One, when it fades in into the starry sky and pans down, I was like, holy crap, I can see the brush strokes of the paint. Like that's how huge and cleaned up this IMAX version is. It's incredible, the details, and seeing, you know, there's certain scenes where E.T. certainly like, you know, is sort of like a puppet. And there are other scenes where I'm like, that thing's alive. You know, and like having it be that big and hold up to that scrutiny, I thought was amazing. And then the other thing I'll just say is, I mean, this movie just all over again makes you cry. Like it's just the whole experience, the journey of the film. I paid more attention to the mother, Dee Wallace, and I was like, man, is she good? Like she doesn't get brought up enough for what she does in that movie. Totally. I think it's still out there in IMAX at the moment. If people are interested, I definitely recommend it.
It's definitely an experience worth having. And you know, a few years ago, we did a commentary track for this movie, which I hope people would go back and listen to because you get to hear Brian just gush about it for 2 hours, you know? And I believe we said this in there, but specifically Dee Wallace, what I love is little stuff like when Elliot calls Michael a bad name in the beginning, how she like laughs before getting mad.
Right.
Which is such a, like, I can so relate to that.
Right.
As a parent, you know?
Right.
Just a great experience. I took all my kids with me. My older 3 watched it in the theater 5 years ago.
Wow.
And then when this came, I was like, oh, I want my daughter. She's 5. I was like, oh, she should watch this.
How did that go?
You know? Oh, she really enjoyed it. Yeah. She has an E.T. storybook actually.
Oh, so she's maybe that's kind of good. So she's a little, maybe not afraid of him. Cause I didn't have this experience when I was a kid, but I was surprised to learn that a lot of kids were afraid of him. which I understand now, but I think I just didn't have that experience. So I was kind of curious how your daughter would feel.
Yeah, she's on board, but she's also like she's been exposed to so much of this stuff because of her brothers,
Sure. That makes
So there's also that.
Yeah.
But that was a great time. I loved it.
Mm-hmm. Nice. And then, yeah, just to mention the Light and Magic on Disney Plus, which, for people who are into that sort of thing, the whole history of special effects and, well, not the entire history, but ILM's history, at least, where you and I watched, I'm sure, growing up, documentaries about this stuff our whole lives, right? Where you see, how they made the models and how they built the Death Star and did all these things by hand. And it never gets old, but I thought, I'll just watch another one of these and I will enjoy kind of seeing it all over again. But what was so cool about this was, this is 6 episodes, so much more footage than I've ever seen before. And you're getting firsthand interviews with the people who were there and really getting a sense, I've sort of read these things, but hearing them talk about how when Star Wars was handed to them, well, it wasn't even necessarily handed to them. They were like recruited because there were no special effects houses that had ever done any of this before. Like they had to invent this stuff. These guys were pioneers.
Yeah.
And so it's really, and then you go through the whole journey then where what these people once excelled at, technology brought in new tools that made some of these people, to quote Phil Tippett, extinct. And so it's actually kind of sad, and you can still see the sadness in him, right, when he talks about it. And it's a really interesting, and it touches on all of our favorite movies, of course. And I don't know, what was your experience watching it?
Yeah, just to echo kind of what you said, certainly for you and I think we've spent so much time ensconced in certainly Star Wars history.
Yeah.
That you go in and you're like, well, I'm sure this will be a pleasant recap of things I already know.
Mm-hmm.
That was my feeling going in.
Yeah.
And I was genuinely surprised at, it's definitely, there's a lot in there that we're already familiar with, but these nuances added in. And, if you talk about Phil Tippett, he talks about his struggles with being bipolar and how, sort of these revelations that add texture to things that we already know. And I think part of this is the eye that Lawrence Kasdan brought to this project. He directed this.
Right.
And Lawrence Kasdan, of course, legendary screenwriter, director. And this is his first documentary that's kind of out in the world. He's made another documentary that has not been released yet, I don't think. But it just came from love of this craft, but also being like, I don't know that much about it, even though I've been around it.
Mm-hmm.
And so he really got a whole array of people to open up in new and interesting ways, and just the volumes of archival footage that I was seeing for the first time.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Same.
It's just this is so I got to interview Kasdan in the lead up to this for the paper, which is just one of those like at the paper they asked me, "Oh, do you want to talk to Lawrence Kasdan?" I'm like, what?
Right. Does not compute.
Yeah, and so that right there is just one of these things where I'm like, how do I not just lose my shit for 15 minutes? Just talking about like everything but this,
Yeah.
But I told him something that we've talked about, like you've got different kinds of movie fans. You've got the fans who watch the movie and they're like, "That's great. Let me know when the next one comes out."
Right.
And then you've got the fans who are like, "That's great. Let's see how they made it." And this is like aimed at them.
Yeah. I think this is, like a 10-course meal for those types of people. And just seeing this like archive footage of them doing the walkers from Empire and it, seeing where they made certain cuts, right? Like I didn't know when the X-Wings were going into the Death Star trench that part of it was a matte painting and then there's a flash from a blast that cuts into a model. I was like, I never ever noticed that. Like, that's amazing. So just like little sort of things little tidbits you get to learn along the way also are really fun.
Yeah. Anybody listening who's got even a modicum of fondness for the history of special effects in the last 40 years, 45 years, this is I think one of the best commitments of time you could spend.
Yeah.
Yeah. I should mention, in the course of talking to Lawrence Kasdan, obviously I got to just be like, thank you for like my childhood and my adulthood,
Mm-hmm.
And I got to tell him, he wrote The Force Awakens. I got to tell him about my experience watching The Force Awakens, and I've described this on the show, seeing Han Solo step foot on that catwalk and knowing what was about to happen,
Yeah.
and just, I told him, I was like, my heart was pounding, just as ready to shoot out of my chest like a cannon. And he's like, I love hearing that.
That's amazing, man. I can't believe
which was super cool. But I mean, it's like, really, when you think about everything that this person has been a part of, in terms of, we talk about this a lot in E.T. I had that same thought watching E.T. For you, because it was like your first movie. You're like, this is how movies are. Like, this is base one.
Yep.
And
that was a revelation I had on this show.
Yeah, right.
Never thought about that.
And we can apply that more broadly and say that whole Amblin aesthetic shaped both of our concept of how films are supposed to look. And I would offer that Lawrence Kasdan's writing shaped a lot of what sounds right to us.
Yeah, definitely.
Some
of our most formative movies.
Yeah. It's he has his sons, Jake Kasdan and Jonathan Kasdan, are both filmmakers themselves. Mm-hmm. And Jonathan Kasdan is like my age. He's, I think he's like 5 days younger than me. And so I actually wanted to ask him, because, for me, I was sort of a Star Wars fan from the cradle because of my brother.
Mm-hmm.
Who's 5 years older than me, and his sons are 5 years. It's exactly like me and my brother.
Right.
And I wanted to ask him, kind of like, what were they Star Wars fans, and what was that like, being like, oh, Dad is making Star Wars, But I didn't know how to ask that without it being weird. So I looked up your son's birth date, and he's exactly 5 days younger than me. Therefore, I didn't.
Yeah. That's right. No, that's a funny thing you bring up, because I mean, you are really good at interviewing people, but there's like this art to asking a question, and you know what I mean? Sometimes you have to dance around something, but knowing you're really trying to draw a certain thing out, right?
Yeah. Definitely when you've got a limited window.
Yeah.
Anyway, 15 minutes is plenty, to be honest. But what you sort of you have to finesse the conversation much more briskly versus having like 45 minutes or an hour. You can pace it and make it much more of a back and forth and follow certain digressions. Right. Anyway, let's talk about what I've seen, Brian.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
So I saw DC's League of Super Pets.
Yes. I didn't want to step on your... I was going to actually say what you said about it because you told me, but then I was like, but no, this isn't my segment. This is Zaki's segment.
Well, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think as soon as I saw it, I texted you and I was like, I think you should check it out. To me, it was Pixar good.
I have heard, you were the first one to tell me that, and I was shocked because I will admit the trailers did very little for me. And I've heard multiple people tell me this. So okay. I'm like, oh wow, okay, I want to see it.
Yeah, I found it thoroughly enjoyable. It was now, for those of you who don't know, it's essentially about Krypto, Superman's dog, who is of course a character from the comics. They didn't make him up for the movie,
right?
And it's he's voiced by Dwayne Johnson, and it's about how he makes the acquaintance of Ace the Bat Hound, who voiced by Kevin Hart, ends up becoming Batman's dog during the course of this film. And it's just a fun story that happens to also exist within the DC universe. So you have Keanu Reeves as Batman, which like you can just sort of hear that in your head.
Yeah.
You know? John Krasinski is Superman, and various other superhero characters in there. And it's just a lot of fun, and it was actually very sweet and more emotionally affecting than I would have expected.
Right.
So definitely, and I don't know how it's doing in theaters. It seems to be kind of, I think it's doing okay, but it's not really blowing the doors off. I'd say definitely worth watching though.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I think it came in like second or something. Yeah. Maybe it's not getting like crazy numbers, but it's definitely hanging in there.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, did you see that Top Gun is back at number 3 at the box office this weekend?
Yeah, and not just that. I mean, it's knocking on like the top 5 all time.
Unbelievable. I mean, could you have ever predicted?
I assumed it would be a hit, right? I had no reason to think it wouldn't. But if you would have told me this thing is going to be, easily clearing $1 billion, it's going to be, $1.5 billion possibly. I would not have seen that coming.
Never. And what that says to me too is, I mean, obviously there's repeat viewings happening, but it can't just be 1 or 2 quadrants. I mean, it has to be almost all the quadrants.
Yeah.
So I just find that, I think it's cool. I love it because I really love the movie. But I'm just like, wow, I would not have imagined that this movie would play like a Marvel movie to everyone.
The metric I was using was sort of Blade Runner 2049, which, it's another belated sequel and didn't do particularly well. I assumed Top Gun would do better because the first one was more beloved. But I felt like there was a ceiling because I was like, well, how beloved is Top Gun beyond, like, I mean, it's not even really beloved with you, like.
Right. It certainly has its audience, but it's not like one of those sort of,
right. So I was like, well, I mean, I'm sure there's like a ceiling there. I said all along, I'm sure it'll do fine. But when Tom Cruise is like, no, you're not putting this on streaming, I'll kick the ass of every single one of you. And I'm sure the Paramount people are like, oh, geez, this guy again,
Yeah.
But damned if he wasn't right. I mean, Top Gun Maverick literally saved movie theaters this summer.
Yeah. And can you imagine, what if it had gone out against his wishes and it'd be like, oh, that was pretty good. Yeah. And they're like, see, Tom, everything's fine. Like and they'd have no idea what they could have done. I think about that with Tenet, honestly. Yeah. I mean, I don't think Tenet would have done these numbers, but I feel like that was a movie of a moment, and now we have moved on. And I feel like if that had come out in theaters, it would have been more in conversation. And
well, I mean, to be fair, it did come out in theaters. It just happened to be in the thick of the pandemic.
Yes, yeah. Which is funny because I saw it in theaters. Like I had 2 friends that were just dying to see it, so we went down and it was funny. It felt like I was committing a sin or something. It was like in that moment where I was like walking in a place that everyone was like, avoiding or telling you to avoid. And I was like, oh, I hope no one sees me.
Yeah.
It's so funny. That was the climate when that came out.
Yeah. I mean, I think you think it would have been better to just sit on it?
I think it would have performed. I'm nowhere near the Top Gun, but I think it would have performed, and I don't know.
I think you're probably right. Yeah. I think Top Gun, just anecdotally talking to, like my nieces and nephews and whatnot. I mean, even they had not seen the original Top Gun. But
Okay.
But they saw this, and then they went back and watched Top Gun.
Oh, interesting.
And there's sort of greater context. So, I mean, it's playing as just a word of mouth hit,
Yeah.
And it's coming to streaming in a couple days as we record this.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I was really hoping to see it again on a big screen, and it just hasn't.
Yeah. Well, it'll still be playing, so I'm assuming you'll be able to catch it. But in terms of other things I've seen, well, I saw Andor. This is the new Star Wars. This is the Rogue One spin-off series, and it comes out. It was supposed to come out like in 2 weeks or next week or something, and then they pushed it by a month. So I ended up seeing it earlier than I think the plan was just a couple weeks before, but now everything's changed. So I can't talk about it, Brian.
Okay. This is all audio, so I think we're safe. Blink twice if you think I like it. I don't know what he did.
One thing I will say, and this isn't telling tales out of school because it's already been discussed. This is Tony Gilroy's kind of passion project. He did a lot of script doctoring on Rogue One, which is Cassian Andor's one and only movie appearance, and he wanted it to be shot, out in the world as opposed to in the volume, which is the new green screen adjacent technology that they've come up with at Lucasfilm, and so this has a very different look to it, which I was quite appreciative of.
Oh yeah, I just from the trailers, I was like, oh, like this is just like visually sumptuous.
Yeah. I mean, the question I have, and again, this is not me commenting on the show itself. I wonder how big of an audience there is for a show about Cassian Andor. A character who I happen to like. I liked him in Rogue One, and so when I heard the show, I was like, oh, that sounds great. But I mean, in like fandom as a whole.
That's interesting because, I mean, obviously with Obi-Wan, I mean, that was a huge success, and that's a character, no matter, where your favoritism lies in the Star Wars timeline, right? Like everybody loves Obi-Wan, and especially Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan. So that's like just a guaranteed hit, right?
Yeah.
And, yeah, that's interesting because it makes me think of the Marvel films because I like the character too. I love Rogue One, but I wonder if there's sort of a, like say with the Marvel TV shows, or like She-Hulk, for example. Like I've never read She-Hulk. Yeah. It's not a great example because I mean, they keep putting the people that we know from the movies and all these things, but it's Marvel I'm showing up for, sure. So likewise with this, I'm like, oh, Star Wars, let's go. Yeah. I'm sure that won't be the case for everybody necessarily, but that's interesting. I see what you're saying.
And and that's me genuinely asking. I'm curious what the tune-in will be for it. I mean, they've got like a 2-season arc planned out, something like 24 episodes over 2 seasons, something like that.
Oh, I like that they know.
The idea is to basically end right where Rogue One picks up.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is ironic because Rogue One ends right where Star Wars picks up.
That's right.
We're just going to pave every single piece of road in the Star Wars timeline.
Hey, bring it.
Speaking of She-Hulk, I've seen the first 4 episodes of She-Hulk, which is the first one episode is streaming on Disney Plus right now.
Oh, okay. I'll probably watch that today or tomorrow.
Well, yeah, and I was gonna ask you, like, how do you feel about She-Hulk? Just not being familiar with the character, I'm assuming.
It goes back a bit to what I said earlier because I am one of those people that's beginning to feel a little overwhelmed by Marvel, and it's not. But I don't think it's bad. I feel like we talked about this, where it's almost come to the point where you walk into a comic book store and there's 25 titles.
Yeah.
And there are the certain titles nobody misses, and there are the other ones that you are drawn to, and there are the other ones that other people are drawn to. And so it's kind of nice you get to pick and choose to some degree.
Yeah.
And I think so. I missed Moon Knight, and I didn't feel like I missed it, even though it didn't look like it wasn't good. I just didn't have the time, and time has passed, and now I'm kind of like moving on. Yeah. I haven't seen Miss Marvel, but I want to see that because I thought the aesthetic looked fun. And likewise, I think with She-Hulk, I like that it's in the universe and it feels like a completely different thing.
Yeah.
Like for all I can tell, it's like sort of, I don't know, Ally McBeal in the Marvel universe. And I think that's fun. So I'm like, oh, well, I haven't seen that. That makes me interested.
Yeah. I think that's fair. So the show itself, each episode is about half an hour, give or take. And it's much more comedic. I wouldn't say. I think Ally McBeal is like a good point of comparison, tonally, with the addition of She-Hulk in the comics. Certainly in latter comics, she breaks the fourth wall, so she knows she's in a comic book.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
And so that's something they've added into this, where she turns and addresses the camera.
Oh, funny.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, that's something people are either going to be down with or they're not, right? I wouldn't say I was a huge fan of the She-Hulk character growing up. I mean, I'm familiar with her, so I can watch it. But it's going back to what you were saying earlier. I think I definitely the volume of product that Marvel is cranking out means that, except for like the super diehards, not everybody's going to watch everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't view that as a debit because, they just announced at San Diego a couple weeks ago that like whatever the next 3 phases are, right?
Right,
right. We got like 2 more Avengers movies coming. We got Avengers, it all builds up to Secret Wars, right? And I was thinking, I was like, well, one can presume that by the time we get to these Avengers movies, it's going to be, a bumper crop of all these new characters all showing up, right?
Right.
And does that make any of these things essential viewing going in? Not necessarily. But speaking for me, having read the comic books growing up, there would be a thing where there was the Secret Wars comic book, there was the Infinity Gauntlet comic book, and you got all these characters in there. I don't know who all of them are, but I read, and then if I'm interested, well, there's those I can,
they're there.
Dig into the backstory or whatever. And I think that's what's going to happen here. Is my point.
And I think that's kind of neat too, because
I agree.
I think we've talked about this. Like we've sort of got conditioned to have every movie be consequential to what lied ahead.
Yeah.
And that's awesome because that was kind of unprecedented for that many films to do that and to pay off in a way that made everybody happy. Right.
Yeah.
But I think, and it sounds like they're going to build towards something again, but if you have the infrastructure and the ability to greenlight whatever you want, like why not have fun too, and just like it always thought it would be cool to do a Moon Knight show. All right. Cause I have a friend who's obsessed with Moon Knight and this was like his Christmas, you know what I mean?
Wow. Okay.
And, so I'm like,
isn't that great?
Yeah. I was like, that's fantastic. And so, and not just that, but you're getting the Marvel stamp, like,
right.
You're getting that quality assurance with each of these things too. And so those just exist for those people. And like you said, when people move forward and we get introduced to someone like, there was a show for that guy, right? Well, let's go back and check it out. Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly like, I remember the first Ant-Man, which did okay, but I remember a lot of people skipped it.
Yeah, sure.
Right. And then he shows up in Civil War, or whatever it was. I think it was Civil War. And people are like, oh, hey, we should go back and watch that one. So I see a lot of that happening, Yeah. Now, as to the show itself, I should mention Tatiana Maslany, who plays She-Hulk, Jennifer Walters. She's great. The effects that turned her into She-Hulk were a little bit dodgy, like in the trailers. I don't know if you got that sense.
Yeah.
It looks better, I would say, like in its completed form. There's still a little bit of Uncanny Valley happening there. Which is interesting to me because one presumes that they're doing the same thing with the Hulk, but I don't get that same sense at the Hulk,
He's always been really well done.
Yeah. Maybe it's just because, just the nature of the She-Hulk character's design, she's meant to look more human.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Right.
She's like a bigger person.
Right.
Whereas the Hulk is kind of a monster. But she's great. Tatiana Maslany, a lot of fun. And Mark Ruffalo, he's there in the pilot. Like he's just there in the beginning. Just to get this thing going. And so it feels like a spin-off,
Right.
Where it's like, there's the Hulk to kind of get her started on her journey,
Yeah, like, hey, cuz.
Yeah, it's very
I'm
like
visiting you in the big city. Yeah.
Right? It's very Simpsons spin-off showcase kind of thing,
Totally.
And Mark Ruffalo, I'm at a point now with these characters. I'm just glad he's still around. Like we're still keeping a couple of these OGs, in the mix,
right?
Which is cool. Hopefully he'll be there for the rest of it.
Yeah, cool. Well, I can't wait to check it out. I'm just in the mood for that tone right now, I think.
Yeah. And I think the tone is going to be the thing that is most divisive, I have a feeling.
Okay.
And I would say that I think this is a character who I think this is, in my opinion, it's probably the exact right tone you want for this. So I'm curious. Oh, and Tim Roth is in it, by the way. He's back as the Abomination.
Wow. I mean, he goes back to the first movie,
like
right?
phase 1, like phase 0.1, like
the
whole. And by the way, and we've said this before, but it's worth remembering for people who are like, where? Come on, like start building up to something. The Infinity Saga did not become the Infinity Saga until after the end credits or in the mid credits of the Avengers.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Is the very end. So let it build up. It's building up to something, and we know it'll probably be fine. Everybody needs to relax. That's my point. With that, why don't we take a short break while everybody relaxes, and then we'll come back and talk through some news and letters.
Good.
So, hey, as you know, our last commentary track that we dropped was Lethal Weapon, the first.
Yeah.
Celebrating its 35th anniversary this year. And so this was a comment left on our Facebook page by Carlos Bello, who says, awesome commentary track as usual. Just want to say that I appreciate how you guys kept the conversation positive and centered around the movie. I could see other people getting caught up in Mel Gibson's drama and focusing on that. While he has said reprehensible things that shouldn't be condoned, the fact remains that this series is awesome, and I like how you guys kept the focus on that.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate that. I think you and I both agree. I mean, yeah, we have our opinions, on certain people, but yeah, we definitely wanted to spend the commentary talking about what was in front of our eyeballs and why we've been, our experience with that our whole lives. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and as a counterpoint, we have a comment here from Charles Landy who says, I'm not here to nitpick about a 35-year-old movie that I genuinely do like, especially a macho 80s action movie. But with all its anti-racist messaging, I always found it odd that the only homophobic and racist slurs in it come from Mel Gibson.
That's funny, by the way, because I think we talked about it afterwards.
That's right.
I think because we were sort of talking through a couple of those moments. But yeah, when I watched it, before the commentary, I was like, oh, I don't remember that word.
Yep.
Those sorts of things. Yeah, I don't know what to make of that.
Well, I mean... this is the thing. Yeah. I mean, to the point that Carlos made, I mean, at least for me, when it comes to the Lethal Weapon films, all of which I just genuinely adore this series, I just have to sort of make this mental, split between Mel Gibson, the man who has said and done some problematic things, and these films, which I happen to enjoy a great deal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I wonder too if it helps that we've had those films for so long, so we have our own relationship with them.
That's a good point.
Versus like a movie that had come out last year and then something happens, and you're like, ugh, and you might be able to sort of divorce that a little differently, but I don't know.
Well, we got another comment here from Nicholas Vanderpysen, who says, such a pleasure to hear you both commenting on Lethal Weapon, a significant film for many of us. You both have a lot of chemistry together as well, making the podcast a buddy podcast. I think that's fair.
Yeah. Hey, I'll take that.
I think you're the loose cannon who's considering just putting a bullet in and just ending it all, right? Every moment before we record.
And then I get the ding, ding, ding from you, and I'm like, all right.
You are crazy.
You're right.
That's me every time before we hop on mic.
I'm hungry.
Yeah. And Matthew Sharif said that after he listened, I immediately wanted to hear the track for the sequel.
I mean, we talked about that too, right? Or we said we were immediately ready to just even watch two.
As soon as, honestly, because I watched it in the lead up to prep for the commentary, I watched it with my kid, and then as soon as it ended, we just rolled right into Lethal 2. I think we're in the middle of Lethal 3 right now. So.
Oh, nice. Okay, well, I have to catch up. I want to watch. I left the Blu-rays out in my living room because I was like, I'm going to do this.
That is something very specific about the Lethal Weapon films for me. It's like, I got to roll through all of them.
Yeah.
So I fully expect we will be back soon.
Definitely.
With I don't know when.
Yeah,
but it's going to happen for sure.
Definitely.
Here's another note that I got. This is at our moviefilmpodcast at gmail.com email address, and this is from Adam O, who says, still going through the back issues. He's been working through the catalog.
Oh wow!
I know. He says I'm up to late 2019 now.
Holy cow! Wow. Yeah. Okay.
And he says, when does Zachy quit using the Magnificent Ambersons as his go-to example of what other movies are not? He just made a reference in episode 185.
If I have my way, that'll never go away.
I don't think I ever stopped.
I was at like a Barnes and Noble, and I saw the Criterion Blu-ray for the Magnificent Ambersons, and I almost bought it right then and there because I was like, I gotta know. But then I was like, do I? Do I need to know?
Now, I should mention Adam sent a follow-up email. That previous one was from like a week ago. He sent a follow-up email yesterday. He says, Zachy referenced the Magnificent Ambersons twice so far in this episode, once comparing Armageddon and once for My Spy. The tracking continues. More to follow.
I love this.
Yes. Well, thank you, everybody, for your comments and for your emails. We appreciate that. Got some headlines to discuss here.
Mm-hmm.
So as I mentioned at the outset, since the time we recorded last, it feels like middle of July to middle of August, like a lot of people have passed away.
Yeah.
I wanted to start by really quickly acknowledging the passing of Alan Grant, the comic book writer Alan Grant.
Mm-hmm.
Not to be confused with the Jurassic Park character Alan Grant.
Right.
Like, this shows me when I first heard the name Alan Grant in the film, I was like, oh, like the comic book writer.
Right.
So Alan Grant was a writer of a variety of different things. He wrote Judge Dredd in the 80s, but specifically for me, he wrote Batman during the era when I was most reading Batman.
Mm.
So very much shaped like my view of like how that character should be portrayed in the comic books.
I'm kind of curious. So what was like a defining trait of that era?
There was definitely a tone that he brought in where it was a little bit more satirical, RoboCop-esque, if you will.
Oh, interesting. Okay,
which is appropriate because RoboCop was itself riffing on Judge Dredd, so I guess that's the lineage there.
Sure.
But he created characters like the ventriloquist, who I don't think we've ever seen in one of the films. Maybe he showed up on Gotham or something like that. But the whole premise there is that it's a Batman rogue who. This guy's a nut, but like he himself is very timid, but the ventriloquist dummy he speaks through is the psychopath.
Like Gabbo.
A little bit like he was like Big Gabbo before Gabbo, yeah.
Right.
So he had a run on Batman and Detective Comics with an artist named Norm Breyfogle, who if you anybody listening, if you don't know his art, just Google it. Google his name, Breyfogle Batman, and you'll kind of see a very iconic version of Batman that for me, I was like, that's what Batman's supposed to look like, you know?
I'm looking at it now, and I definitely recognize this.
Yeah. You know, and really, like their run coincided roughly with the release of the first film. So in essence, the 1989 movie was a feeder directly into the Alan Grant, Norm Breyfogle run on Batman.
That makes sense because, I mean, I wasn't as avid a reader as you, but I think probably around that time I was getting interested because of the film. And I think I probably had a couple of issues of this. Like, this Batman looks super familiar to me.
Super familiar, yeah. So he his death was very sudden. I don't think they even revealed a cause of death. But I mean, 73 years old is not that old, you know?
Right.
And yet, unfortunately, I mean, I was telling my brother this. I mean, like so many of the comic book legends from my childhood are just very rapidly falling away. And that, I mean, I guess that's just one of the unfortunate things that we as fans deal with.
Yeah.
Obviously, the families have to deal with it on a different level, but for us, just there's another piece of our childhood gone. You know.
Yeah.
Another person who passed away, certainly a familiar face, if not a familiar name, David Warner. He's another one of those "Hey, that guy" actors.
Absolutely, yeah.
First time I saw David Warner. What's that?
Yeah, it was like Titanic, Tron.
Right. Tron is the first time I saw him.
All over the place. Yeah.
He was in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2.
Yeah.
He played Jor-El in Lois and Clark. You know, he played multiple roles on Star Trek. I mean, just if nothing else, a very, very distinctive voice. He was also the voice of Ra's al Ghul in the Batman animated series.
Oh, wow.
Just one of those guys. So he was 80 years old. And again, just like, just somebody who was always there, you know?
Yeah.
Passed away from cancer. Paul Sorvino also died.
Yeah, that's right. Wow, it has been quite a month.
It really, like, Paul Sorvino, and this is one of those things where I don't even know why, but like his name popped into my head, and I was like, I'm glad Paul Sorvino's still around. Like it was one of those things.
Really?
I swear to God, I'm not making that up.
Wow.
And then within 48 hours, he was gone.
Wow. Huh.
At 83 years old, he died. Obviously, we just talked through both Dick Tracy and The Rocketeer in the last couple of years, in both of which he had memorable roles, but also he was Paulie in Goodfellas.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But I mean, he was on Law and Order. Did you know that?
No.
He was on the second season of Law and Order. He was the senior detective role.
Oh, funny. Huh.
So like just before, because Jerry Orbach, right?
Oh yeah.
He started on the third season, so just before Jerry Orbach, it was Paul Sorvino.
Huh.
And of course, I don't know if you remember when Mira Sorvino, his daughter, won the Oscar.
Yes. Yeah.
Best Supporting Actor for Mighty Aphrodite. One of those distinctive memories of me that I have is just the camera on him, just tears streaming down his face, watching his daughter accept the Oscar.
Yeah.
She gave a very poignant remembrance of him on social media. But again, just like one of those guys, he'd always been there.
Yeah, I'm looking through his stuff now, and Nixon, that you were just talking about, and then The Firm. I forgot about that.
Just so many things, right? Wow. He was in Romeo and Juliet, the Baz Luhrmann one,
right?
Sort of just a fixture,
Mm-hmm.
Sad to see gone, And he may not have earned an honest buck, but he was still 100% American.
Yeah, iconic.
Speaking of iconic, Tony Dow, Brian.
Yeah, that was one of those sad things, right? Where there's sort of like some uncertainty, like he's passed. Wait, no, he hasn't. Oh, now he passed.
Yes, he has. Yeah,
and it's always kind of like hard watching that play out because you're like, people are sort of, their feelings are getting sort of not toyed with, but ups and downs. But yeah, Tony Dow. I mean, Leave It to Beaver was huge in my house when we were growing up. I mean, that was like the show that was on before school. So it was like you watched Leave It to Beaver and then you went to school, and he was a very memorable, endearing character on that show, right? The older brother.
Yeah, and it was one of those things where I think I mentioned this on the show, but I was at a convention a couple of years back. This is probably 2019, and I saw both him and Jerry Mathers, who played Beaver. They were both there, and there wasn't like a huge line. There were people there, and it kind of made me sad. But I also was like, well, I'm glad that there's still people there who want to see them.
Yeah.
It made me sad that the line wasn't longer, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, I understand. Well, it's weird. I mean, there's also sort of like a moving timeline of things people sort of remember. Mm-hmm. And it's fascinating to see, even just sometimes with people I work with, certain things that were there, say like in the 80s or 90s or whatever, that just doesn't clock with them, you know? And like the timeline, the bar or whatever you want to call it, like it just keeps moving forward in certain things. So, I mean, certainly Leave It to Beaver. If you weren't young enough for that to be on reruns for you, I could see where some people would just have no awareness of it.
That's right. Yeah. So he was 77. He passed away from cancer. I saw that Jerry Mathers posted a remembrance of him where he said he was not only my brother on TV, but in many ways in life as well. Tony leaves an empty place in my heart that won't be filled. He was always the kindest, most generous, gentle, loving, sincere, and humble man that it was my honor and privilege to be able to share memories together with for 65 years.
Wow.
65 years. Think about that, right?
Unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, they were, especially Mathers. I mean, he was a little boy on that show.
Yeah, right. And I mean, at that point, as he says, I mean, you really, you grow up together and you're still doing these events together. You're still doing these reunions together. They both were in the new Leave It to Beaver in the 80s.
See, that I actually don't remember. I remember it existing, but I don't think I saw it.
See, I saw that before I saw the original.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. They used to show that in Saudi Arabia.
I just remember he used to say, his character would always be like, Beaver, you giving me the business?
That's right.
So my brother and I, to this day, every now and then we'll remember that. Just be like, Dan, you giving me the business?
I mean, when you think about it, though, like all the regulars from that show are gone now.
Yeah.
Other than Jerry Mathers.
Wow.
Like because
Billingsley, she was Nanny on Muppet Babies, Airplane, all this. For me, at least, I'm sure other people are like, yeah, she's in a lot of other things too.
she spoke jive in.
That's right. That's right.
Ken Osmond just died a couple of years ago. He was Eddie Haskell.
Right.
2020, he died. So a lot of these icons, actually, speaking of that, another icon, Nichelle Nichols is gone.
That's right. Wow. Yeah.
Her also, I saw at a convention. It probably was the same convention. And I was actually supposed to interview her, and unfortunately, for whatever reason, the scheduling didn't work. And so I do kind of regret having missed out on that opportunity. For those of you who don't know, Nichelle Nichols was Lieutenant Uhura on Star Trek in the television series and in the 6 films starring the original cast.
Right. Yeah. Iconic. Another icon.
Yeah, I mean, she's told the story. She had told the story, in her life about how she considered leaving that show during the course of the first season, and because there wasn't a ton to do, and unlike later Star Trek shows, which were more ensemble pieces, the original Star Trek was very much William Shatner and company.
Sure.
And so it's a lot of people saying "Aye, sir," "Yes, sir," that kind of thing. And she's at an event, and somebody comes to her and says, "Oh, there's a fan of yours who'd like to meet you," and it turns out to be Martin Luther King Jr.
Yeah.
And she says, she mentions, by the way, I'm leaving the show. And he says, you can't leave the show, because as long as you're on that show, people get to see that we are there in the future. We exist.
And what do you say to that?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's extraordinary to think about.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think the sense, just the normalcy of just existing. Right, the fact that the bridge of the Enterprise had a black person, had an Asian person, and it wasn't a big deal. That right there, neither of them were defined by their ethnicity on that show. I think that says something really far-sighted. That we look at that now, and without any context, we're like, well, of course. Like, why would you? Like, why would you make a big deal out of it? But back then, it was a big deal.
I know, which is one of those things sometimes too. When I hear about like segregated water fountains and things like that. And then I realized that happened like in my parents' lifetime.
Amazing.
I'm like, what? Like, so like seeing her, like that she, like you said, where the audiences now might take that for granted, but she was, up until recently still alive and experienced something entirely different. Like she saw the shift in her lifetime, that whole thing. It's amazing. And it's great that she got to be a part of that.
Well, and she got to see, the role carry on.
Yeah.
Zoe Saldana in the films,
right?
And on the new show, the Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. They have like Cadet Uhura, who's played by Celia Rose Gooding, right? So like, I would think as an actor, that's something that would be very rewarding. Like, this. I got to start it, but it carries on,
Right.
Whoopi Goldberg Whoopi Goldberg was a big Star Trek fan as a kid. And, the reason she was on The Next Generation was because she wanted to essentially follow in Uhura's footsteps. So, again, a lot of these icon is almost too small a word,
Yeah. That's really interesting now that you say that. Sorry, not to go on a tangent, but thinking of Whoopi Goldberg, where she was a huge movie star in the 80s and even into the 90s with Sister Act and all those movies. And it's interesting then that she was a big enough fan that she wanted to go into this like syndicated television program, because it meant that much to her.
Yeah, they've told that story because she was friends with LeVar Burton. And so she tells LeVar Burton, but she knew him before Star Trek because of Roots and everything else. And so she tells him, "Hey, I want to be on that show." Right? Because in the first season, Denise Crosby was on it, and her character was killed off. She left, so she says, "Oh, there's an opening. Tell them I'd like to be on it." And so LeVar Burton goes and tells Gene Roddenberry, whoever, and they're like, "Yeah, sure, Whoopi Goldberg, whatever."
Right.
Yeah, right.
Right.
And then she follows up like, "Hey, how come nobody called me back?" And they're like, "We thought it was a joke." And so literally, on the show, I mean, you probably didn't watch Next Generation, but she played a character called Guinan, who's sort of like the bartender on the Enterprise. And the character was written in such a way that she could do episodes whenever she was available.
Oh, that's smart.
And they built the sort of the bar set specifically for her character. And that's from the second season on. And she, by the way, Whoopi Goldberg continues to appear. She was just in the second season of Star Trek Picard. like
Oh, wow.
this past year, you know, and it's all because, again, it's all like all this stuff carries on, you know.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's such a cliche about how representation matters, but I mean, it does.
But it's true.
You know? Another passing I wanted to note real quick. I was kind of surprised to see this. Roger Mosley died. Roger Mosley, who played TC on Magnum PI in the 1980s.
Oh, right.
Helicopter pilot TC Calvin.
Wow. Yeah, Magnum PI. It's one of those things that lives in the back of my brain, but yeah, wow.
Yeah, he just died in the last week at age 83. He was in a car accident.
Oh.
Yeah, really, kind of a sad situation. He was paralyzed from the shoulders down, and he died a few days later.
Oh, that's sad.
Very sad. I mean, I'm actually currently watching the original Magnum PI. I'm kind of working my way through it. Yeah. And that show very much it's obviously it's the Tom Selleck show, but it's also the camaraderie between the four leads, Magnum and Higgins and TC and Rick.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, it is a darn good show.
Is it? I was wondering if it held up.
It really does. I mean, there's plenty of 80s cop shows that are kind of whatever, right?
Yeah.
I think Magnum, I mean, it helps that Tom Selleck is just hugely charismatic.
Right.
I think I've said this before, but like when I watch Magnum, like I can see the version of Indiana Jones that he was in.
Oh, totally.
And I absolutely believe it would have been a success. But, I think the right actor got the right gig in both of those instances.
Yeah.
But I think it navigates tones much more efficiently than like a lot of other shows from that era. So I think it holds up well in that respect.
Yeah. I just I haven't seen it in years, but I saw that, I don't know if you call it a meme, but it was just captured like a moment from the show where it was Tom Selleck sees like a nun on a ladder. And he's like, wait a minute, nuns don't work on Sunday. And then he starts shooting. And then it's like, it turns out the nun is a bad guy.
I'll tell you, that piece of advice has helped me out many a time.
Right.
If I had a nickel for every time I saw a nun working on Sunday, glad I keep my piece handy. So Roger Mosley will be missed. Here's another person who passed away, another icon, Olivia Newton-John, Brian.
Yeah, I know. Wow. Yeah.
This was really, I was definitely one of those people who had a little bit of a crush on Olivia Newton-John when I was a kid.
For sure. Like Grease. I mean, it would be Grease for me.
Yeah, Grease, and then the video for Let's Get Physical.
I know that song, but I'm not super familiar with that actually.
Okay. Well, I am.
Yeah. Yeah. Noted. Yeah. Or Xanadu? No?
Yep, Xanadu. Yeah. I mean, I saw a video. So she passed away at age 73 of breast cancer. Mm-hmm. I saw a video of her through the years, and we've heard the term ageless.
Yes,
like that feels like the perfect way to describe Olivia Newton-John.
Absolutely. I mean, certainly outward, but like also inwardly. I mean, she's one of those people that just had a spark.
Yeah, just a general positivity.
Yep.
She spoke a lot about sort of, her, after the cancer went into remission and then it came back and just sort of dealing with that. And she spoke about, I can obsess over like every worst case scenario, or I can just sort of, live my life, Mm-hmm. And one imagines that that's the type of thing that's easier said than done. And I don't doubt that she had her dark periods, but I also don't doubt that she gave hope to a lot of people who were dealing with, similar illnesses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always reading about her actually when she passed. Yeah. I had that feeling where it's so cool when people in a certain position, if they encounter some sort of affliction, like the way that they turn it around and use whatever sort of influence they have to try to, bring attention to it or money or help or, a foundation. It's just always really cool seeing that. And she was one of those people.
I also, there was a tribute that John Travolta put on social media, which I found very poignant. He says, My dearest Olivia, you made all of our lives so much better. Your impact was incredible. I love you so much. We will see you down the road and we will all be together again.
Oh,
Yours from the first moment I saw you and forever. Your Danny, your John.
wow, that's really very sweet.
It's very sweet, and it made me think. I mean, John Travolta in the last few years lost his wife.
Right.
He lost his son. I mean, he's been through a lot of tragedy himself.
Yeah, he really has.
And one imagines that gives a different kind of perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Another passing that I wanted to note: Anne Heche.
Yeah, man, that was something.
What a story this was.
Yeah, just a tragic ending, but also, certainly unexpected, and just, yeah, this was really sad.
Yeah, she was in a car accident, which, as a result of some kind of narcotics in her system, is what they're saying. And the car accident left her alive, but with a kind of traumatic brain injury that she would not be able to come out from.
Right.
And so I think it was like a week.
I don't remember the exact timeline, but something like that.
I mean, it was several days.
Yeah.
But she was 53 years old, and what was interesting to me was that there was sort of, obviously the sadness that was expressed, but there was also this sort of moment of clarity by a lot of people of like how shitty she was treated in the media.
It feels like that happens a lot, doesn't it?
Right?
Like later.
Yeah.
Yeah, people look back and be like, "Oh, I guess she was really struggling. We should have been a lot nicer to her."
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Sort of, obviously she came to fame for many people in the 90s as Ellen DeGeneres' girlfriend.
Uh-huh.
And then she later married a man, and people are like, "Oh, she can't decide,"
Right.
And like, well, people can be fluid, like,
Yeah.
But I think I've mentioned this before. There was a sketch. I think it was like a Robert Smigel cartoon called Downey, Kidder, and Heche.
Okay.
And it was a detective agency started by Robert Downey, Margot Kidder, and Anne Heche.
Right.
Where they act crazy to like solve cases.
Right. Yeah, I can imagine it.
Right. Yeah.
Margot Kidder was one. I remember even at the time I was like, I don't think we should be laughing at this.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And
yeah.
I mean, and Robert Downey is one of those rare stories where he turned it around tremendously, right?
Yeah.
But I remember that sketch as being one, like, that was the narrative, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just recently I was watching a Celebrity Jeopardy sketch on SNL where it's Reese Witherspoon as Anne Heche. And she's like, bleep glop, bleep glop. Oh, that means hello in my made up space language or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's all my point is like there is sort of this blasé attitude that people take towards mental health issues.
Yeah, that, and also like addiction. I for some reason immediately I thought of Amy Winehouse.
Yes. Oh, sure.
I remember where it was just like, oh, Amy, kind of a sentiment when she was in her last days, and she was a mess, and she needed help. Like, she didn't need us laughing at her. And so I remember there was literally like on the radio like a death pool or whatever for her, and it was like, when they're alive, you just sort of enjoy kicking them. I'm not saying me, but
right.
Culture, right? And then when they're gone, we're like, oh, kind of a feeling. And it's like, maybe we should have been nicer to them or reached out. And it feels like we're starting to veer in that direction. But yeah,
I mean, the notion of maybe just showing a little bit of understanding is viewed as, you're why are you being so sensitive? That type of thing.
Right.
Which, like, well, this is random, but like on I was showing my wife the other day that on the Apple TV app in my TV, I can also dig into the archives and I can find stuff I've purchased, like TV shows I purchased on iTunes way back in the day. And I was like, check this out. And it's episodes of The Soup from like 2006.
Whoa.
Right?
Wow.
Like way back. So here's Joel McHale, and it's like the first four things. It's like Whitney Houston and
Right.
Lindsay Lohan and, like Amanda Bynes or whatever. And I'm like, again, Whitney Houston's gone. Lindsay Lohan got her own mental health. Oh, and making fun of Britney Spears.
Wow.
And I'm like, God damn, we did do a lot of that culturally, didn't we? Like,
Yeah.
just like, I mean, people are down. Let's just grab a baseball bat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not me trying to pick on Joel McHale, but I mean, obviously, that's very reflective of these cultural moments that you look back and you're like, well, that's embarrassing. Like that hasn't aged well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I feel like every new, I don't know what the term is, like the Monica Lewinsky show or the Pamela Anderson show, where it's like sort of a modern history look back. There's always a scene of like the Jay Leno Tonight Show staff.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, coming up with their cruel jokes. And it's like, and I mean, look, there's certain ones like I said, the Margot Kidder one, I remember immediately being like, ooh, that's sad. But like, I mean, that was the early 2000s was kind of a mean period. So it's like, I don't want to make it sound like I was always like,
and I'd go I'd go back into the mid 90s, like, to be honest.
Yeah. But like, I mean, when the Britney Spears thing, you're like, whoa, what's up with her? Like that was just kind of the tenor that was set, and it wasn't right. But it was like, yeah, it feels like we're looking back and correcting some of those mistakes and hopefully learning a little bit about ourselves, and we'll be a little kinder moving forward. But
I mean, it tells you something that the Leave Britney Alone video, which everybody made sport of then, you kind of say, well, they're not wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that video has probably aged better than the people,
some
right?
Of the Night Show jokes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So Anne Heche, she was 53 years old.
Wow.
Which, I mean, when you think about it, I mean, certainly for like a good 7-8 years, I mean, she was in a lot of movies.
Yeah.
She was very much present. Like there was 6 Days, 7 Nights, which got the most buzz. But I mean, she was in Volcano, which I think is actually a pretty decent movie, Volcano.
I think I missed both of those Volcano movies.
Yeah, Dante's Peak, you're not missing much, but I think Volcano is it's the right kind of that movie.
Sure, totally.
If you catch my meaning.
Yeah.
It's just this side of Roland Emmerich.
Which is a side I enjoy.
yeah, exactly. So I think it's worth watching. She was also in the Psycho remake, if you remember that.
I do, definitely. Yeah.
Which that film wasn't great, but she had a period there. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, and I was surprised to learn she's a voice in Legend of Korra.
Yes.
Which I know is hugely influential and something I've been meaning to get around to.
My kids love both of those shows.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the people I work with, that's like a huge influence for them. My brother ended up watching it because he had heard it was good, and now it's the thing he pesters me about the most.
Really?
Is Avatar and Legend of Korra.
Well, there you go. I guess you got to watch.
I got to do it.
You got to add it to the list. And then, last but not least, Brian, very sad, especially given the timing here. Wolfgang Petersen just died.
Yeah.
And we like 2 weeks ago we watched Air Force One, and we're just lavishing praise on Wolfgang Petersen's ability to put a thriller together. And then just like 2 days ago, I happened to be watching Troy.
Yeah. What are the odds?
He made a ton of great movies.
I totally forgot he did The Neverending Story.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is amazing. That's something I would be curious to go back and watch, because I mean that was huge when I was a kid.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it since. But I remember so much about it,
So Das Boot, which we already talked about, you need to see.
I need to watch, yeah.
He did a movie called Enemy Mine.
I remember that.
Which is
Dennis Quaid.
With Dennis Quaid and Lou Gossett Jr., which is really good.
I should watch that, yeah.
Enemy Mine. Outbreak.
Yeah.
Of course, In the Line of Fire, which we've talked about. He did The Perfect Storm, which... I thought the movie was very well made. I'm not a huge fan of. I think my problem with that movie is that it's all made up.
Right. It's hard because we don't know. Right? Is that what you mean? We don't know what happened.
There's not a single person who walked out of that thing and be like, "Here's what happened."
Right.
So we're just assuming that anybody acted that way, right?
Yeah.
But certainly as an experience, as a theatrical experience,
Oh yeah,
remarkably well made.
absolutely.
You know, what I remember most about that movie was I got I was there opening night, and I got the big Slurpee size.
Yeah.
So by the time the storm hits, the storm's about to be hitting my pants.
Oh no! Isn't that funny that you remember that to this day?
And it was opening night, so it's packed, and I'm sitting right in the middle.
Oh no!
And I'm like, oh God, what do I do here? You know?
I'll never forget. For me, it was Inside Man, the Spike Lee movie.
Okay.
I've never had to pee more in my life. And I was like, there's got to be like 5 minutes. And there's like a twist in that movie. I was like, what? And there's like, it keeps going. Yeah. You don't forget a thing like that.
Oh, you don't forget a thing like that. The last feature in the United States that he directed was Poseidon in 2006.
I never saw that.
I mean, it's not particularly memorable, but I'm like, did that just kill his career? Like, how does that happen?
Right,
you know
right.
Like it underperformed, but I'm just like, this guy should have directed a ton more stuff between then and the time he died. He he did some television over the years, but I mean, basically it was Poseidon, and then he did one German film in 2016, and that was it. And I'm like, I'm sort of baffled by that. Like, how did he have a run like that, and then just kind of,
Yeah, I don't know, but I definitely they're looking at all these films. Yeah, there's a lot. I'd be curious to go back to Outbreak. But yeah, Das Boot, that's going to be one of those ones that gets...
That's the one to watch. Outbreak, yeah. I just watched that like the week before Shelter in Place kicked in.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I not because, I mean, already the virus was spreading. Mm-hmm. So I was like, hey, let's watch Outbreak.
Let's watch Outbreak.
Which is what one does. I think I was like, well, I want something on the spectrum that's not like Walk into Traffic, like Contagion.
Right.
Give me some escapism with my, extinction level event. That's where I landed. But the director's cut of Troy is really good.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I've only seen it in the theater, I think.
Yeah, the theatrical cut I just thought was okay. I just thought it was all right. But in my opinion, the director's cut elevates it substantially.
Okay.
So check that out.
Actually, can I ask you, have you seen the director's cut of Jurassic World 3 yet?
I have, as a matter of fact.
What do you think? Because we talked about how we were like, I kind of wish there was some of this and some of that. And it turns out there was a much longer cut. And I was curious what you thought of how it affected the movie.
Well, for starters, they put back in the what do you call it? The prologue.
Yeah. I remember talking about that with you. That we knew that existed, but we were wondering why it wasn't there. Yeah,
so essentially, it feels like Colin Trevorrow sort of it's like a trade-off, where since the footage already existed, he was like, fine, I don't want to cut it out, but for the sake of getting the movie released, and then we'll put it back later. And I think his calculus was all of the stuff exists already, all the footage. Mm-hmm. So it's just a matter of putting it back in.
Right.
But he's been very vehement. He's like, the extended cut is the one I want people to watch.
Right.
It's mostly little additions here and there. So the biggest thing is the prologue. So that's on YouTube. You've seen it. I think you've seen it, right? Mm-hmm. And that actually helps just as a way of situating not merely the battle at the end between the T-Rex and the whatever the new dinosaur, I forget what it's called. But we get like the in the modern time, the T-Rex is attacking like a drive-in, and that's like a great way to start. Mm-hmm. Because I think the theatrical cut just starts with like, here's what happened last time in Jurassic World.
Yeah, kind of like a podcaster or something.
Yeah, and I think you should start with the dinosaurs.
Right.
There's more, like we see Ellie Sattler finding one of those giant locusts and encountering it for the first time. The introduction scene with Alan Grant and Ellie, that's longer. There's more of Alan Grant at the dig, and sort of like he's trying to, he's talking to these kids and they're like on their phones, like they don't care. Mm-hmm. And this girl's like, well, look, this is what a T-Rex is. like they've been around since the 90s. Like, why do you care about this? Which is, you can see probably why they cut that, because it's there's a similar dialogue in Jurassic Park 3. Where remember in the beginning of Jurassic Park 3, he's talking to the symposium.
Yeah.
And somebody's like, well, who cares about fossils?
Right.
It's kind of like that. The black market scene, there's a little bit more of that. It's mostly like additions.
Okay.
But in my opinion, it for sure makes the movie better. If one already strongly disliked it, I can't imagine it's going to change anybody's mind. But it definitely breathes a little more.
Okay.
I would say if you're like a tweener, you'll like this one more.
Yeah.
Like for sure, this should be the one you watch. Period.
Right.
But I don't think fundamentally, the structural issues. I don't think nothing's there that's going to change the mind of somebody who just loathed it.
Right.
Yeah. Like,
That's
I think
cool.
you
I was
landed
curious.
closer to the loathe side, right?
I was kind of like, meh to. Like I wanted like a little more out of I don't know, like the characters, or like, that's my memory of it.
Yeah, there's no major action scenes that are added. The only major thing is the prologue. Everything else is just it's like just little character pieces that have been added.
Yeah,
that just let it breathe.
I might check it out at some point, because I wanted to like it. That was the thing, right? And I don't know. There just wasn't enough for me to feel attached to enjoy it. But I do remember enjoying some of the action. Like I feel like I've seen this criticized a lot, but the motorcycle chase, I was like, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, at some point when I'm looking for something to watch, I could see, because it kind of honestly has left my memory, really. So
yeah,
at some point I'd be curious just to see the complete version.
Yeah, it's definitely like when the movie ends, I'm like, okay, well, and the other thing is they're situating it as like, oh, this is the end of the Jurassic saga or whatever. And it's like, well, realistically, it's not.
Right.
So I think that's part of my thing too, is like, well, this is just the end of this thing, and then we're going to be back later with some other thing.
Right.
And you know?
Sure, totally.
I will say though that and we're going to talk about this in a little bit, but watching Prey, I was like, I want a Jurassic like this.
Yeah, sure.
Something like strip it down. It doesn't have to be this big spectacle.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what I mean by I want it like this, but just something a little smaller scale.
Honestly, like that prologue, a T-Rex at a drive-in movie theater. I think I want that movie.
Yeah.
Like Your Town Under Siege.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah, I think that the struggle they've always had with these films is contriving reasons to weave the characters in. And maybe take more of an anthologized approach where it's completely different characters. But the stakes are lower too,
Right.
Like I had this thought, this is random, but they were showing Jaws 2 on TV over the weekend. I watched some of it. And I think we've talked about, like, I don't mind Jaws 2. I think it's like the best of those sequels, right?
Sure.
But it doesn't touch the first one.
Sure.
But I was like, instead of being like, hey, let's have a shark come back to Amity and Brody gets pulled in, why not do the Hooper story where he's out doing something and he has a different shark encounter, because that makes sense given his character.
Sure.
Right? Like, doesn't that make more sense than trying to redo the first movie?
I mean, kind of, again, speaking to Prey, sort of what they do, right? Instead of having to revisit everything that's super familiar, which I do get, because even from a trailer perspective, like, ooh, we're back in that town, ooh, there's the guy we know again. Like I get it from like a selling point. But there's something about taking then the thrill element that we like and transposing it somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, and just from a narrative perspective, that just makes more sense. Again, Hooper, he would encounter sharks. Like, that would be within that frame of reference. And you could even see a scenario where he's out there doing something and he reaches out to Brody to help.
Right. Sure.
right?
Yeah. I love
So,
that
I
we're
don't know.
workshopping Jaws too.
Can I tell you something? I would love to do a commentary for that one of these days with you.
Sure. I've only seen it once, and it wasn't that long ago, so I would be curious to go back to it again.
Well, hey, maybe one of these days.
Yeah.
So those are my thoughts on the Jurassic World Dominion extended cut.
Yeah.
It is a thumbs up from me, but anyone listening knows I was already a thumbs up on the movie. So, Okay, let's take another short break, and we'll come back. We got a couple more headlines to discuss. And we're back. And hey, while we're gone, apparently the entire bottom fell out of the DC universe of movies and whatnot.
Every now and then, there's an entertainment news story that you go, wow. And then you just want to read everything about it. And this was one of those stories.
So Warner Brothers recently was acquired by Discovery Media.
Uh-huh.
And the head of Discovery Media, a guy named David Zaslav, is basically just taking a blowtorch to a whole bunch of stuff that's already been in the mix there. Among them, stuff is just getting purged from HBO Max. You hear about this?
Yeah, things just disappearing. Like, for example, the that Seth Rogen American Pickle movie, which it's like, wow.
Yeah.
That was just something that debuted on HBO Max like last year, but now it's just gone.
And this very odd to me, because I'm like, what are they losing by having that stuff up there? Because it's already sunk cost, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I would think, but I thought I had read somewhere, and again, this is all sort of insiders speaking anonymously, and the story is being formed from those types of informants. But I think I had read somewhere that, I mean, as we know, the big sort of headline of all this is there's like $3 billion worth of money that they're looking to recoup.
Right.
And so they're making these really hard cuts just wherever they can. So for example, J.J. Abrams had a $500 million deal with them, and they're like, never mind. And that's $500 million they get back. And then, or however that works. So
they have, in fact, canceled his deal?
I think they did.
Wow,
yeah.
no
And so I think I had read that these movies that they're plucking are movies that are not driving a ton of traffic, but that they have to pay fees to have exist on the service.
Interesting.
Whatever that means, to the actors, residuals, I have no idea. But you and I were texting about it, and the thing that I have in my head is it really feels like they went to some sort of like robot, and they're like, right? They're like, I don't care how, get me $3 billion out of what we're spending. And it made these decisions that had like no, sort of human thinking behind it. It was literally just, we don't need this, we don't need that. And then like, this will save us $5 million if we pluck. That's what it feels arbitrary and also kind of extreme, particularly with the Batgirl movie. So it just feels like a huge accounting coup or something, right?
Yeah. So speaking of Batgirl, essentially, this is a movie that was the principal photography had ended, and it was due to be released at some point, either this year or the next. It stars Leslie Grace and J.K. Simmons, and most importantly, I would imagine for you and I, Michael Keaton.
Yes, coming back
as Batman. And so the new heads of Warner Brothers took a look at it, and they're like, nah, we're good.
Which is wild. And let me correct myself too, by the way, the J.J. Abrams deal. I mean, after you pay him, I don't know if you can take all that money back. But he had a show that was going over there. It was in development, and that got canceled.
Okay.
But that was something that was in development, right? Like, this movie exists.
So $90 million
yes,
have been spent on making this thing. And it was meant to be an HBO Max original. So theatrical was not part of the game plan.
Right.
It was meant, however, to exist within the broader DC cinematic universe.
Right.
And apparently they took a look at it, and they decided that it wasn't good enough for theatrical, and it was too expensive to be on HBO Max. And so apparently there's like some tax loophole that within a certain amount of time after an acquisition, they can jettison certain things and get their money back.
Mm-hmm.
And they decided, well, we're less likely to recoup that $90 million
Mm-hmm.
than to just get it back through a tax trickery and just
Right.
have it sit on a shelf forever.
Right.
Now, my thought is, I think that greenlighting a $90 million Batgirl movie for streaming was not a great idea.
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
I genuinely, like at that stage,
Yeah.
I would have been like, cut it down, get it down to 65.
That's so funny. The number in my head is like 60. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So I can understand the thinking, but I would say once you've committed the money, I mean, you're talking about people's lives and effort and energy and blood and sweat and tears.
Yeah. And I mean, when I say that this movie exists, I mean, what I mean is it's in the can, so to speak. Like it's been shot.
Yeah.
But it was, they were having test screenings for it. So it was close to being finished. And I think I read that the composer, right? Like he had like an hour and a half of score written.
That's
so
right.
it sounds like it hadn't been mixed or anything yet. But I mean, it's in the final lap. Just crazy. But it's funny. There's been all these evolving sort of narratives to this. And at first I was hearing that it was so bad, it was unreleasable.
Right.
And that feels, maybe someone felt that way. I don't know. But that also feels like an easy excuse, right? To just sort of toss it aside. But what I'd heard from more people reporting who were at test screenings was, no, it's actually not that bad. But in the discussion group, it came up that it didn't feel like a big enough to be a theatrical movie. It felt like a TV pilot.
That's right. Yeah.
So I guess the thinking is, they're thinking more and more, we want to focus on theatrical. They're really moving away from this whole movies for streaming business. And to make it bigger would just cost more and more money. And then on top of that, you would have marketing spending, which would be in the $30-40 million. So, if they wanted to nudge it into whatever their new paradigm is, just
see, and that's what's weird to me, because so let's say that bumping it up to theatrical is a non-starter, right?
Right.
I would agree with that. But I just, and maybe this is why I'm not like a corporate guy, Brian.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, I mean, this is something people have committed like their time and energy to, and this is not the same as like starring in a pilot that doesn't go.
Right.
Because that's something that on some level you accept. Like, this thing may never see the light of day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is a $90 million thing. You've already committed those resources to it, and maybe it's not going to drive subscriptions. But one would imagine that the relationships that you're building. I mean, the directors. These are the guys who did Bad Boys 3.
Which we liked.
Which most people liked.
Yeah.
Right? So they're rising stars. They also directed several episodes of Ms. Marvel, by the way.
Huh.
I mean, they're clearly talent. Leslie Grace is a rising star. You have the marquee value of Michael Keaton back in there. I mean, people are going to watch this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so because of this tax dodge, it means this thing has to sit in a drawer forever, like it's the goddamn Ark of the Covenant at the end of Raiders. Like, we're just never going to see it.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is just nuts. And I mean, think about, again, too, like our dreams come true where we get Michael Keaton back as Batman. Like, I was joking with you that it feels like a joke on The Simpsons with like comic book guy saying like, oh yeah, like I have all these rare things in my closet, including, another performance of Michael Keaton as Batman.
Here's the unreleased Batgirl movie starring Michael Keaton as Batman.
Yeah, it sounds completely made up, but the thing is, it exists, and we won't get to see it.
Well, and related to this is that Keaton also had a cameo in the upcoming Aquaman sequel.
Right.
Which has also been deleted and replaced by Ben Affleck.
Right. So it feels like, I mean, this is a whole other sort of thing then, where, people have been saying DC needs to figure out what they're doing, right? And, well, that's some people's feelings, right? Like, if they want to try to get into the whole Marvel sort of way of doing things, it's like they need to straighten their narratives out or whatever. And it feels like this is some sort of attempt at changing course from whatever they were headed toward
Yeah.
as of like a couple weeks ago.
The intention seemed to be that following the events of the Flash movie, which is still coming on, we'll talk about that in a second, there was going to be some kind of a timeline change, and so Keaton is now the Batman of record,
Mm-hmm.
and he's playing kind of a Nick Fury role as he flits in and out of these movies.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have no idea if that's still the plan. I mean, they still plan on releasing the Flash next year.
Right.
Although a year in Ezra Miller time, that's long enough for Ezra Miller to hold up a small nation state for ransom, like a James Bond villain. We don't know what Ezra is going to do between now and then.
No, and that was a fascinating development this week, wasn't it? Where I actually didn't quite follow this, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like someone leaked the actual plan for Warner Brothers about how to handle this. And one of them was, small apology tour, shelve it forever, so like whatever. And it seems like then when Miller's sort of statement was released the other day, I was like, oh, they went with option A. Maybe this is unfair of me. Thinking of our conversation earlier about how we talk about people who are going through things, but I was like, this is such a calculated thing. I mean, here's Warner
the thing.
Brothers saving their ass.
I saw a thing that said that Ezra Miller is going to be seeking help and getting treatment, and my first reaction to it was good. I hope they do whatever they need to do.
Yes. Oh, of course. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, no doubt the connective thread here relating to what you said. I mean, this is a major problem that Warner Brothers has to figure out because they have sunk ungodly amounts of money and development time and years into this movie.
Right.
I mean, it's worth remembering Ezra Miller was cast as the Flash the week after the Flash television series premiered. Which is now heading into its 9th and final year.
Wow.
And the film has, so in other words, the series finale will air and then the Flash feature film will come out.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but it's just, go ahead.
No, I mean, I'm sure the Warner Brothers folks are looking at this as kind of I'm sure, this is my guess. They're thinking we got Ben Affleck as Batman, we got Michael Keaton as Batman. This is a Spider-Man No Way Home potentially.
Oh, and I'd read from test screenings that it's testing through the roof. So they're like, this is going to be big, but we have to navigate this this waters that Miller's been creating. Yeah. And like with no ceasing. You know what I mean? Like it just continues and continues and continues.
And Christopher Plummer is dead, so we can't have him reshoot all of his scenes. That's off the table.
Him digging his feet in like, okay. It's flashing time.
Yeah, I mean, you have to imagine this thing it cost at least $200 million.
At least, yeah.
So there's no tax write-off they can do there.
Right.
But it's a weird situation because definitely, I as a Michael Keaton Batman fanboy, seeing his performances just blink out of existence.
I know, one by one, it feels like, what did we do? Why are we being punished?
It's like those dreams where you're swimming towards the shore and it keeps moving further away.
Right.
Between how many times the Flash movie release date has been pushed and then these other performances, you're like, okay, well, so clearly some monkey's paw action is happening here.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be fascinating to see how they actually navigate its release, right? I mean, I think what I had read was Miller's going to seek treatment and there will be like limited press.
I think that's almost the smartest thing, right? Like,
yeah, I don't think you can put them in front of a microphone on a red carpet because who knows what people are going to ask. And
I saw a thing just today where, I don't know if you saw this, Jonah Hill put out a statement where he's basically like, I'm not going to be promoting my movies anymore for the time being.
Right.
Like the press tours are just really stressful and bad for my mental health. And he said something to the effect of, I'm in a privileged position where I can afford to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like the movies are there, but I'm not going to be doing these press tours. And I'm kind of like, I think we need to normalize that.
Yeah.
For a variety of reasons. But one reason I would offer is the notion of having to go around the world promoting these movies does seem archaic to some extent.
Yeah.
Like doing the talk show thing, doing like, you know what I mean? Like there's other ways to get the word out, is what I'm saying.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Or to scale it down somehow. And I don't know. I don't know what to do, but
Yeah. I mean, there was a time when, you know, you'd show up on the Tonight Show and then Jalen would be like, "Hey, I just saw the movie. It's fantastic." You know,
right.
See the clip or whatever. He hasn't actually seen it, you know.
Right.
You know, but I don't think we need to do that anymore, or that's not a necessity anymore.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, with the, you know, TikToks and the videos and the whatever, I mean, it's really something viral and everyone's talking about it. And
Right, Gramps.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like,
You know,
that's what
all
people
them
are really watching.
TikToks and Weewas and Meewas and whatever.
But that's the stuff that people are responding to.
No,
even
it's
like,
true.
Like the Morbin time versus like whether or not Jared Leto was ever actually on Jimmy Fallon or, you know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah.
I think the Flash movie, if they're smart, they'll just put Michael Keaton front and center.
Yeah, sure.
You know,
but also at the same time, I mean, just because everyone wants to get the quote, the story, the whatever, I mean, it's inescapable.
Yeah.
The curiosity, I'm sure, around Miller's situation. And I don't, you know, honestly, again, going back to what we said earlier, I mean, it's been pretty crazy and wild and a little scary, some of the things we've been hearing.
Yeah.
That's been going on in their world. And honestly, I mean, maybe Warner Brothers' need to get this under control will be the thing that will force them to, you know?
That's a good point.
So, I mean, maybe that can be helpful in that way.
I feel like between now and June of next year, there's going to be more news about this, you know?
Right.
So, some of it welcome, some not.
Right.
I'm fairly certain, you know?
Yeah.
Curious about, but going back to what we were saying earlier, this to me as like the first batch of actions by a new head of the company just feels short-sighted to me because you're burning bridges with talent.
Yes.
You know, if people know, I'm just working for like a bean counter.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
and like that could happen to me.
Yeah, right, exactly. You know,
yeah.
I should mention. I mean, there's this Scoob sequel also got kiboshed,
right?
Which nobody's really talking about because I don't think anybody particularly cared about the first Scoob or the second one. But there were people involved. Damn it!
I was reading interviews with the writer, feeling like, you know, what did I do? Like I learned about this with everyone else. This came out of nowhere. This is crazy. And I saw another story where they recorded the score anyway.
They recorded it anyway, right? They're like, well, we booked the time.
We paid everybody. Like I wrote it. Like, yeah, we're gonna do it. Which is, I actually, speaking of pinching pennies, I can't believe that they didn't stop that and get their check back. But
right, yeah, no, well, I guess they didn't know about it.
Yeah.
The band just showed up, and the guy's like, well, might as well play something. Ain't no cable in this damn place.
Wait, what is that?
That's from The Fugitive.
Right. I was like, that is so familiar.
Ain't no cable in this damn place.
That's right.
All right, let's take another break. We'll come back. We'll talk about a movie that is burning up the streaming charts, putting to lie the notion that people won't tune into streaming for a movie. And we are back. And Brian, you know who else is back?
Who's that?
Well, it's the Predator. Or in his latest formulation, he might be called Prey.
The hunter has become the hunted.
That's right. So Prey, a.k.a. Predator 5.
Wow.
Is on Hulu currently. It's the #1 premiere on Hulu to date.
Which makes me happy.
Absolutely. It's a really good movie.
Mm-hmm.
However, I would also say, is there a lot of competition for like big Hulu premieres?
You know, I was just listening to an interview with the filmmaker, and he was saying that they did better than the Kardashian premiere. Which, for whatever that's worth in Hulu world, you know, like that's good.
well, that does make me happy, actually.
Yeah. No, it's a bummer that this didn't get released theatrically. I mean, I've been looking forward to this, and the weekend I watched it, I kept thinking, if they had even done like a limited thing, I would have gone out of my way to have seen this on a big screen.
I'm of two minds, Brian. So first of all, it's directed by Dan Trachtenberg, who also directed 10 Cloverfield Lane, which I also enjoyed.
Yep.
I feel like had they put this out in theaters, it would have died.
I can't disagree. I don't think it would have been a blockbuster. I guess I'm just speaking for my selfish needs. I just would have really enjoyed seeing it on a big
I would have
screen.
loved to see it in the theater. I think what was working against a theatrical release was nothing in this film, but everything in the previous film.
Sure. Well, and then, I mean, the reason it didn't go theatrical was a deal, right? That's still in place with the whole Disney-Fox merger and Disney owning Hulu. And I guess if something from Fox within a certain era gets released theatrically, that means it goes to HBO Max. I think that's all the way through Avatar.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So in Disney's best interest then was to not release it theatrically and to put it on their own service, which looks like it did work out well for them. So,
I mean, that's a bit of a gamble, admittedly.
Sure.
But I mean, what was the budget on this thing?
Man, I have no idea.
Couldn't have cost that much.
If I had to guess, like a 30-ish, 40.
I can't seem to find any numbers about that. Yeah, I'm going to say somewhere in the 50 to 60 million.
Yeah, 50,
that's what
it sounds better. 50. Yeah.
Right. So now this is the fifth Predator movie in 35 years.
Wow.
So even though the timing doesn't actually work out this way, that amounts to one Predator movie every 7 years.
Doesn't seem like that much when you say it like that.
Yeah. In actuality, it's like there was like a 20-year gap between 2 and 3.
Right.
And there's those Alien versus Predator movies. We want to talk about those. But you and I, a couple years ago, we talked about The Predator. Mm-hmm. And my recollection is neither one of us was particularly enamored of that movie.
No. It was one of those things where I remember liking bits of it, but as a whole, I remember not liking the protagonists.
That's right.
And it was weird because Shane Black wrote and directed, but it just felt like almost like someone imitating him a little bit. And I remember them being kind of annoying. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't gel with any of the people who were on the adventure. And the whole thing just kind of didn't come together weirdly.
Yeah, well, they had Boyd Holbrook as the main character.
Yeah.
Who I don't mind him, but I just didn't like his character, as you said.
Right.
And then, and it was just a lot of, it felt sort of like a karaoke Predator movie.
Yeah.
And then it ended. There's nothing more presumptuous to me than the hey, wait till you see the sequel set up for a movie that has 100% not earned that.
Right.
And if you remember, that had like this goofy ending where like they open like a care package from other Predators, and it's like Predator armor.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and then it goes to credits, and I'm like, I could not give two shits about any of what I just saw. Much less what happens. If you remember, they had originally planned for like Arnold Schwarzenegger to show up at the end. Yeah.
Wow, this is all coming back now.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, why on earth wouldn't you do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that didn't launch any kind of a franchise or whatever they hoped. So this idea of like, well, let's just do a story with a Predator in it and just in a unrelated timeline.
Yeah, like back to basics. Like
exactly.
Back to what you inherently enjoyed about the first film, but put it in a very different setting with different variables. And let's watch another person go on a journey having to contend with this thing. And to me, I think that's a brilliant idea, especially setting it in a time, before automatic weapons and all these sorts of things, but with warriors.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it.
I thought, first of all, I think it's really well made. Mm-hmm. I love the setting, and it's I would say out of all the films, it's the most beautifully shot.
For sure. Yeah.
I mean, you get these great vistas of the plains and whatnot. And Amber Midthunder, who plays the main character, Nara. Mm-hmm. I think it's Nara, right?
Naru?
Hold on.
I might be saying it wrong, but it's Naru.
Okay. Yes, Naru. You're right. She's great. Mm-hmm. And I really like, what's funny is I was watching it with my wife, but she didn't know what it was.
Oh, really?
So, because I think she jumped in maybe like 2 minutes after the opening title. So she didn't even see like the typeface,
Right.
which is like Predator font. So she's like, "What's this?" I'm like, "Oh, it's about it's called Prey." She's like, "Oh, what is it?" It's about this like Native American tribe. Oh, okay. She's down to watch
I
it.
think she's watching. Yeah.
Suddenly there's like a laser beam. She's like, "What in the world?"
Right.
But she actually really liked it.
Really?
Yeah. She thoroughly enjoyed it. Like she's like, "Wow, that was really good."
and I think because it's, I had the benefit of just listening to this interview with Trachtenberg, but he was saying he actually tried to come at it like a sports film, which we talk about over and over. It's just this tried and true formula, and that's it. I mean, it's not about the horror of what happens. It's about rooting for this person. And she's a very compelling protagonist. And Amber Midthunder. I'd just seen her on a Liam Neeson movie, on my Liam Neeson catch-up. She was in The Ice Road. And I remember thinking, oh, there's something to her. Like she stands out. And I mean, she's portrayed well. I think the character is very interesting. What she wants. She wants to be a warrior in this tribe that has no interest in entertaining that for her.
Yeah.
But, and at the beginning, I mean, this is just standard story stuff, but even sports movie stuff, I kind of wanted her to be a little bit stronger at first. It was hard for me to watch her fall on her face a couple times, but I was like, no, that's it. Like, this is her journey. Like, she's going to become a warrior through this. And it's very satisfying. So I can totally get why she enjoyed it.
That's and to Trachtenberg's point, I mean, if you're watching this, well, it's not going to end with the predator killing her.
Right.
But you also know she's probably the only one who's like guaranteed to make it to the end.
Sure.
Right. So in others, you're watching all the other ones and you're like, oh, I don't want him to die. Oh, know, right. And certainly they do a good job of making all these characters really, I loved the brother. I thought he was great.
Me too. Yeah.
Right. A great actor too. Dakota Beavers, who plays Tabe, but just the way in which it's a small scale story, but it adds so many interesting nuances to the creature.
Yeah.
The way the technology works and the way his helmet is like, the way we've learned something new about the way his like laser sighting works, which I thought was interesting. And there's this great scene with French trappers where you just see the predator like jumping around. And I'm like, we've never seen that. Like that's, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I like that. Speaking back to the predator's like armory, I mean, it was different. It's not like he's still living in the 20th century. Yeah, and I said the original.
Like, you believe that their technology has itself evolved.
Yeah. I mean, it's still far more advanced than ours, but it has different sort of rules to it or abilities, and I thought that was kind of cool. Like even down to the mask, where it's just like a skull, of some other creature or something.
Yeah, and what struck me is that in the beginning, it feels like we see the predator dropped off. So it's almost like this is a test for him, the way Naru, it's a test for her.
Interesting.
You know what I mean?
And we see it sort of going through, like it doesn't even know what it's going after. Like first it goes after a snake, and then it goes after like bigger things and then a bear, Yeah. Which was kind of interesting. Like it's not like it's on the hunt for something in particular. It's just whatever is its adversary, or a fellow warrior it kind of goes after.
Yeah, I think like the thought I had at the end of this was like, I think the previous film made a mistake by trying to sort of go deeper into like the predator culture, whatever their race is. I I forget what they're called. Yautja, I think is what the race is.
Okay. I've only ever read it. I've actually never said it out loud. So yeah.
Well, I think that's how it is.
Yeah, that sounds right.
But like I reached a point where I was like, I don't really care about like their intercultural, like whatever their deal is. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like there's these are the pacifist ones, and I'm like,
right.
I was like, that's not my interest in this. It's always about how are people gonna tackle this unbeatable thing. And I said about the first film, I think that's when we were talking about The Predator. I was like, I think people misjudge the appeal of the first film, where it's about Arnold Schwarzenegger taking on this thing.
Mm.
And it could just as easily be Arnold Schwarzenegger versus a bear.
Sure. Yeah. It's it's ingenuity porn.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what I mean? Like learning about this thing and knowing that it's seemingly unbeatable, but not quite. And so
That's right.
how do you get back to basics and outsmart this thing, even though it has the upper hand? It always will have the upper hand. Its weapons are always going to be better than yours. So how do you get smart? And, you know, it's getting clever. And yeah, that's always satisfying to watch.
Yeah, and it was refreshing almost to see, like, this is an IP movie, but they go smaller instead of bigger.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. You know, it's funny
it's
too. Oh, sorry. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, I was saying it's smaller in scale even than the first film, you know?
Yeah, totally. And there was a funny moment where I wasn't even thinking about it, but I think it's with those trappers. And they're like firing their rifles at the predator. And then all at the same time they stop because they're like, well, have to open our guns, put in the gunpowder, put in a you know, about like it that's just how they had to reload. And it takes a very long time. And I thought that was played for like a kind of funny laugh.
I agree.
Yeah.
Other thoughts on Prey?
No, you know, when you mentioned Dakota Beavers, who played the brother, did you see the story, by the way, that he was working at a TJ Maxx right before working on this movie?
Oh, wow.
And it's just,
that's a cool story.
Like, I think that's really awesome. And the whole other thing is that all the, well, I'll say protagonists, there's some human antagonists in this, but most of the majority of the actors are Native Americans, right? And it's like so cool, like the opportunities it allowed to like introduce all these new actors and like, I don't know, like this is the idea that you feel like you hear. They're like, oh, you know, someone had this idea where it was going to be like these Native Americans taking on a predator, but then they didn't, worried they couldn't find like a star that everybody would know. And you're like, oh, but that'd be so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And this is that realized. And it was.
Yeah.
You know, like I love it. Frankly, I mean, if it going straight to streaming or having a lower budget allows for these more interesting ideas than to be executed, then I'm happy it exists.
Now, there's a little Easter egg in here which I appreciated, which ties in with Predator 2.
Right.
This is just one of those things. Like I'm somebody who I've always liked Predator 2.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always been kind of the lost world of these movies, you know.
Right.
But I'm a defender of I'm the patron saint of lost causes. I think that's what it is. But I've always enjoyed Predator 2. But that movie, if you remember, it ends with Danny Glover's character defeating. By the way, I should mention this. Whenever my kids see Danny Glover in anything, you know what they say? We're Danny Glover.
Do they really?
Yeah.
They are truly your children.
Yeah, which for people listening are like, what does that mean? Brian made a video for my 30th birthday.
Yeah.
And he took a clip from Lethal Weapon 3 where it's Riggs and Murtaugh saying, word Riggs, word Raj. And Brian and Sean dubbed over it. So it says, word Zeki, just word Danny Glover.
Yeah.
So that's what my kids say whenever they see Danny Glover.
That's amazing.
Anyway, so that movie ends with with Danny Glover defeating the Predator.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler for a 30-year-old movie. And the Predators, the surviving Predators, they give as a trophy. They give to Danny Glover's character a pistol, which you can see the name. It's Raphael Adolini, and that same pistol shows up in Prey at the end of this film.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, that is super cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
For a couple of reasons. Number one, anything that like canonizes Predator 2, I'm all about.
Mm-hmm.
Predator 2, by the way, I remember watching that as a little kid. And that same scene when Danny Glover goes into, and in my head, he is Danny Glover. He doesn't. It's Danny Glover who defeats the Predator, not whatever character he's playing.
Right.
That's how I choose to see it.
Yeah.
But he goes into the ship, and we see the skull of the alien.
Yes.
In the trophy room.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
I remember being 10 years old and just losing my shit at that. 10 years old, I'm like, that's the alien! Alien! That was me.
That's amazing. Did that give birth to that whole Alien versus Predator thing? Like the comics and all that? I mean,
I believe that, I should let me look up when the the comic came out.
Because, I mean, those are both Fox properties, so you can imagine some set or prop person, being like, oh, hey, that'd be cool. Fox owns this.
So the comic was 89. So it started with the comic.
Wow.
And then I guess they just threw it in, because Stan Winston did both.
Right.
So they probably just did that as like that Easter egg. But I mean, it's so prominent.
Yeah.
In that. But anyway, so that pistol shows up at the end of this movie.
Yeah.
Right. And in the context of our main character has retained it.
Mm-hmm.
So then the movie ends. And I'm like, well, wait, how do the Predators get it?
Yeah.
And then you
oh, no.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, oh. I was like, oh. So there's a couple ways you could end up there. But regardless, there's a little bit of connective tissue.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, that's basically, I think we're on the exact same page. And I remember when Cowboys and Aliens was announced, that Jon Favreau movie.
Yep.
Daniel Craig, Harrison Ford. I was like, bring it.
Yep.
Like, that is exactly the kind of movie I want to watch. I want to watch people on horses who don't have the technology squaring off against UFOs. Like, that's so interesting and appealing to me. And unfortunately, that movie just kind of didn't cross the finish line for me.
Yeah.
But this taps into that again. Like you said, it could have been a woman versus a bear, and it still would have been good.
That's right.
Playing out the exact same way with the story and everything. But it's just that much cooler that it's that compelling to watch her go on this journey. But then instead of taking like bear blood and putting it on her face and making markings, she's taking like glowing green alien blood and putting it on her face. I'm like, yes, like this. Yeah. This is the stuff I love.
And and the great thing is that it opens the door for a whole. This is Dark Horse Comics, which had the Predator license for the longest time. I mean, that's what they did. They're like, here's a Predator story from the Viking era, and here's
right.
And it's like, yeah, why not?
Let's do it.
Right.
Yeah.
This opens the door for that, and you expand the mythology this way instead of trying to turn it into something that it's not. Like, I think that was the mistake the Predator made. Is it was like a $90 million budgeted thing,
right?
And David Zaslav wasn't around to kibosh that, I guess.
Right.
But I mean, they were hoping for it to be something that it never was. I mean, none of these movies has been a blockbuster,
right?
Right. It's the ceiling is much lower, so why not play within that? On a related note, Hulu has an Alien TV series in development.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I don't know much about it. I know Noah Hawley is the guy in charge. And apparently it's like set in the present day, and I don't know anything about it. But my point is, I watch Prey, and I'm more optimistic about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very curious. I'm very curious what they do next.
Yeah, well, I'm just happy, like I say, that the version you feel like you would read about on the internet, like, oh, there was this draft, but they didn't approve it, and you're like, what? That would have been amazing. I feel like this is that existing, and I'm really happy that we got to watch it. And yeah, like, it's reinvigorated me about the franchise, so I'm very curious to see if they can remember the essence of what makes it work and then find new and exciting ways to plop it into other stories.
Yeah. The one thing I will say I missed, Brian, was the Predator theme.
I agree. I did think about that. I mean, the score is totally fine.
Yes.
And I mean that actually in a positive way. Sometimes I say fine negatively. I thought it was good. But there were some times I'm like, you know what? I wouldn't have minded if it got a little bigger and Sylvester-ish.
Yeah.
But it's all good.
It's all good. And we're all good, Brian.
Yeah. This was a blast.
Can I just tell you, I missed you, man.
Me too.
I'm glad we're back, and hopefully we'll be back soon with another commentary track coming up in a week or so, depending on how that goes. But in the meanwhile, what do you have going on, Brian?
Well, plugging away on Young Jedi Adventures for next year. But until then, Puppy Dog Pals is still dropping randomly throughout the year, but always existing in reruns and streaming on Disney Plus, Disney Junior, and Disney Channel.
There you go. As for me, you can find me at the San Francisco Chronicle, where my film reviews and commentary pieces appear regularly. You can also find me on Twitter at Zacky's Corner. That's ZAKIS Corner. It's also my website, justadded.com. And if you have any thoughts about Prey or anything else we've talked about, please hit us up at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com. You can also hit like on our Facebook page, facebook.com/moviefilmpodcast, and you can message us there. As always, please go to Apple Podcasts and leave a review, leave a star rating. Every little bit helps. We are so very close to 100 reviews, and I would love if we could crest that threshold. That'd be kind of cool. So if you dig what we're doing 10 years in, please show us some love that way. Until our next episode, on behalf of my partner Brian Hall, my name is Zaki Hassan. This has been Movie Film 252. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Welcome